You are listening to the Savage FINcast, episode 108. Malcolm, there's no you in team.
Chicago. The criminal mastermind called Overlord held our city in his terrifying grip. Ordinary cops were losing the battle against Overlord's super freaks and mutants. Then, a miracle happened. When I found him, he had no memory of his past. I helped him find an identity and a life. Now we have a fighting chance. Now we have the dragon.
This is the Savage FINcast, the show that spent $90 on action figures today and is feeling kind of messed up about it. My name is Jim Purcell.
I'm Craig Olson.
I'm Raven Perez.
And we are here.
$90.
Oh, yeah. It's
Sorry.
We're here once again with another episode of the Savage FINcast, the internet's only podcast dedicated to the genius of Erik Larson and his creation, Savage Dragon. Yes, Craig, I did in fact spend $90 on action figures. NECA came out with like a 2015 Doc Brown from Back to the Future.
Scott!
Indeed. And there was also a McCree figure from The Thing that I'm not a big The Thing fan. John Carpenter's The Thing.
How can you not be?
I mean, I watched it when I was an adult because I didn't like spooky movies when I was a kid.
Spooky.
And there was also this other like King Kong figure that had like a biplane, and it's like the 1940s King Kong. It's cool. You can see pictures
That is
of it.
a random ass group of figures.
Yeah, well, the reason it's random is because they're Target exclusives that came out ahead of Father's Day. They'll probably get wide release later, but I don't know. They were in front of me, and I couldn't say no because I got a problem.
That's how they get you.
Yeah,
That's how they get you, dude. Did you say because I have a problem?
Yeah, it's starting to become a problem.
I just saw at Target the other day. Maybe you, Jim, know about these. They're like Marvel figures, but they kind of look like Secret War style figures. Like
Migos.
Really,
They're like Migos.
kind of.
Or
yeah.
are you talking about the little tiny 6-inch ones?
I think they're the 6-inch
Or the
ones.
3 or
They're
4
kind of like
inch,
Star Wars figures where the elbows don't bend, but they look cool. They look like 80s figures.
With the fabric clothing.
No,
I mean Kenner,
no.
Kenner style.
Like Secret War style.
I don't know Secret Wars figures very well.
They're kind of like Star Wars guys, but their knees and elbows don't bend. It's
4-inch. They're
four-
like 4-inch.
I'm an idiot. I don't know like toy lingo, so you have to bear with me here. But
Okay, so the arms,
Maybe
there's like no posability to them?
no, they just basically have 4 points of articulation.
Oh.
Just the show. But they're like the figures I used to play. I don't know. I find those kind of figures are more detailed. I don't know. I just like them. They look old school to me. And
Yeah, I haven't-
Marvel has a whole line.
I haven't seen any of those recently, but I haven't been looking at them very hard because they don't appeal to me.
Craig, let's say you cave and you have to get one. You have to get one. Which one you getting?
I don't know which ones they have. I only saw the Iron Man one, and I forget what was on the back. But I was like, "Oh, this is neat. They look like '80s figures.
Well, there are.
They look like the. Do you know? Sorry, go ahead.
There are a lot of retro throwback figures right now. Like there's a whole line of He-Man figures.
Yeah, I've
that
seen those.
They have both like the original style where their arms and legs just move like the Secret Wars figures, but they've also got retro action ones that have more articulation but have the same style as the original ones. I don't care about He-Man, so I haven't bought them.
He-Man.
Don't care about He-Man?
Not a He-Man
At all?
He-Man. I missed the train on He-Man and Thundercats. I've got no nostalgia for them.
Even sexy Chitara?
I mean, not really.
I got to share this
shame.
with everybody, listeners included. But I
Craig's
think
gonna
my
come-
mom found my huge collection of muscle characters.
Nice.
Dude, did she?
You said they're moving, so they found them in the attic?
They're moving. Yep.
Well,
And
that's
so she said she found them. She swears it's them. I should have had her send a picture or something, but
Craig,
I think I'm going to
dude.
go up there and try to.
You got to get them, and you got to take
She
pictures.
said the wrestling ring is with it, which I'm hoping.
Yes, dude! Pictures. I expect pictures, dude.
Yeah, I should have asked her.
That is
I'm
fucking...
just going to go up anyway because I got to get all my old comics. Dude, so listen to this. I was in my comic store, and this guy was like, oh, I was at some yard sale or something, and he had the first appearance of Deadpool. And my comic shop, he wanted to sell it for like $400, and they didn't blink an eye because today I walked in, and they had it up for sale for $600. And I'm like, how is that real?
Well, Deadpool's very popular.
Is
Yeah,
it that
Deadpool's
much?
hot. Yeah.
Yeah, Deadpool's a money guy now.
Dude,
Yeah.
that issue is sitting in my mom's attic. It's probably all fucked up. I gotta go. I gotta go and get all my old comics from the '90s out of my mom's attic.
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. If you have a Deadpool...
I should just sell it. I don't care about it. I don't.
Yeah.
It's been sitting in my mom's attic. I was just amazed.
use it to buy more muscle.
But the thing that drives me crazy is, do you know how many issues of that were sold? Like, how can it be rare?
I think it's because no one gave a fuck and they got destroyed.
Yeah, it's just
like, that's how rare things happen.
That's
just
probably
a-
how mine is. Mine's
it's-
probably creased to
It's
fuck.
just a random issue of New Mutants, right? Or was it X-Force at that point?
It was
New
X-Force.
Mut- I think it was 9. Was it X-Force?
I think it was
It was the one with
X-Force.
like Gideon on the cover. Maybe it was.
Yeah, I think that's X-Force. Because I
Yeah.
remember I had that shit, and I was like,
Yeah.
cool. You said Gideon. Gideon's the lamest looking shit in the world.
Yeah, he's got the 90s like ponytail, like head, I don't know, kabuki ponytail thing or whatever you call it.
He looks like
That everybody
Professor
had.
X with a ponytail wearing like a bathrobe. It's terrible.
Everybody had that hairstyle in the 90s.
Oh,
all the
this
villains.
cover. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. This is. Oh, it's New Mutants. I was right.
It is, right?
It's
Yeah.
it's like
It's right before.
Yeah,
it's like 98 or something.
98. So I think it turns into X-Force after issue 100. So what?
Yep.
So why are we here again?
Yeah, you know, this is
I was excited because my parents are moving. But why are we really here? I don't know. I think it's something to do with a podcast about Savage Dragon.
the world's only Savage Dragon podcast, bros. Only.
Sometimes Deadpool. Sometimes McCree.
Sometimes King Kong with the
Savage
biplane.
Deadpool.
So we got some news.
Yeah, we got some news. Let's jump right into it. Top of
Or
the
just
hour.
talk about other random bullshit for another hour.
Top of the hour. Seems like there's a lot of ant news to chew through. I'm going to cover it all.
It's about
concisely.
freaking time.
Yes, dude. If for those who have been very patient,
Oh, I see what you did there.
Ant is here. And we got the cover reveal for number 2. We got the cover reveals for number 1. And Ant number 1 is going to launch in August. Ant number 12 should be out by the time that you guys are listening to this. So here's how it breaks down. Ant number 1 is going to have 4 covers, variants. It's going to have those exact same covers with the retro Image Comics Group trade dress, just like Savage Dragon's been doing. So we got, Ant sort of like coming at you, big premiere issue. We got Ant running up the side of a building, like big hand coming at you.
That's the
Ant-
coolest cover.
Ant doing the camper's urination pose.
Camper's urination pose.
Yep, but you instantly know what I mean, right? She's in the void. Yep, squatting. And then
Popping
you've
a
got
squat,
Ant.
scooping a quick deuce.
That's it. And then you got Ant in front of green buildings. And so we do as we must. Oh, wait, hold on. And then so real quick to paint you a word picture, listener. Ant number 2's cover is showcasing on the cover kind of how the interiors are going to look, where Ant is rendered and everyone else is flat covered. She appears to be punching out terrorists in a war-torn country.
I am honestly a little concerned about this cover.
So lay it on me, dude. What's up?
It seems a little 20 years out of date.
What do you mean?
I don't know. It just seems kind of like Ant punches Middle Eastern terrorists. Seems a little odd.
Little dated.
We don't know
dated.
for sure. We don't know for sure.
Yeah,
where
I mean,
is.
we don't know for sure. Absolutely, it could mean anything, but it seems. I don't know. I don't know if I like it.
I mean,
Well-
there's still troops over there, so I don't know.
Yeah. Allow me to put your mind at ease. We also saw an interior spread of ant. If your word ant might be too topical,
Well, no,
we
it's
saw
not,
it.
I'm not saying that. It's like I'm not against politics in my comics. I, of course, read Savage Dragon. It's more a question of like why. Why?
Well,
is she
I'm
doing
sure.
This?
I'm sure it'll have a good. You can't judge a book by its cover. That's one of the oldest things in the world. Don't worry about it. It'll be okay. We got also to see a double page spread of the interiors of Ant, and she's beating up what very clearly are Batman pastiches, homages. We got from left to right, if you find that double page spread, Pussy Whip, Randy Dandy, Quizmaster, Yuck It Up, and Half Black. So,
I'm pretty sure
taking it back to what
I'm pretty sure there's actually a Quizmaster in DC. That's a weird choice for a name. Because I think he's supposed to be Riddler.
right, yeah, definitely a Riddler parallel.
But I'm
Well, I
saying
mean,
I'm saying there's a Quizmaster as well.
Dude, but the problem with DC and Marvel is if I said there's a guy, Captain Dick Fart, I guarantee that in 1963 somebody made up Captain Dick Fart and they've just had the copyright for years.
Fair enough.
Like there's nothing you can do about it, is all I'm saying. Rate the covers, guys. I'm just saying I want you on these Ant number ones where there's like 4 of them.
Yeah.
And so, Jim, who refuses to buy variants,
I reject
must
them.
you must make a choice. Which one of these covers are you getting and why?
Well, if I had a choice, I would probably get the running up a building one.
You can have a choice. I'll give you that choice.
So yeah.
Craig, what about you?
Yeah, the run up the building one's cool as hell. The other ones, I'm not that. I could give or take.
Yeah, they're pretty pin-uppy. Dull, boring.
I will be getting, in reality, all 4 of the non-retro trade dress covers. So I'm getting all 4. But running up the building, definitely the strongest one.
I kind of like the retro because of the little like image of the character in the circle. I like that part of it.
Yeah.
It actually is really cool.
I love his ant logo.
It's weird
It's
because
massive.
is it me or is the image eye also kind of retro on the non-retro regular issue? It seems like that's like the old school like way of doing the image logo. Maybe it's
What
the
do they
current.
do different? Do they not have the word image inside of it anymore?
No, it's not even that. I don't know. There's something about it. Maybe it's the color. Maybe it's the color yellow.
I thought image, that logo was always the same except for that brief period when Valentino took over the book, when it was like...
They also had the 30th anniversary or the 25th anniversary. I forget what anniversary we just passed. Anyway.
We're coming up on 30. I think next year's 30.
Like there was a I think on the 25th anniversary there was a different logo for the entire year.
You mean like the short one, right? Where it's like mostly the dot and very little like eye.
That's
No.
the Valentino one.
No, that's
Okay.
that's a different one.
Oh, okay. I don't know which one you mean then.
I will look it up and show it to you later.
All right. So, yeah, I think they're all solid. I think Ant 2's cover is cool. I think it looks good. I'm with you guys. I think sort of of the 4 Ant, like, number 1 covers, I think, like, the other 3 are almost too pin-uppy.
They're too similar to me. Like
Very, very similar. And I'm going to say something, and I don't care whose nipples it twists. If you're going to have Ant, you got to have an ass in there. And there's
no ass. The ass got smaller too, I think.
lots of crotch, no ass.
Really?
Where though? Show me the ass, Jim. Which one of these has the ass, dude?
Well, the first one where they're jumping, get the little side ass. I mean, most of these are in the most of these are in the front, but side ass is all we really get. But you can tell
Side
you can
ass.
tell she's got hips.
We call that a hip in the medical world. Side ass. I'm not saying like the ass has been reduced. I'm saying I miss like not miss.
I'm saying the ass got reduced.
Do you think it's got reduced?
I think we're just seeing her from the front. Is all.
Well, I'm saying like if you're gonna do ant right, and you've got 4 covers to burn, and we are all of the opinion that those pinup covers are maybe a little too similar. Why not give old school ant fans an egregious ass cover to reel them in? And you know what I mean, the Mario Goli ass cleavage style.
Maybe I'm crazy, but I don't think these are intended to be cheesecake covers.
They're not intended to be, but Ant is still a nude figure, basically. Well, at any rate, if it was me, I'd put an egregious ass cover in one of these 4.
We talked about the double page splash that Erik put on his Facebook page for people looking for it. He posted on May 14th, but we didn't talk about the other. He had a single splash page on there, which I think was almost better than most of the covers, which is the ant like jumping down a building and you see all like the fire escapes, which I thought looked cool as shit, like all in the shadows.
Yeah, do you mean the green where she's like green rim lighting?
Yes.
No. Oh, yes.
Yeah. I agree with you, Craig. I think that actually would have made a better cover than some of the number 1. Like, okay, get the campers pissing pose out. Just get rid of that one and put this one in. That's a good cover, dude.
It's good as shit with the dark building.
Yes.
The contrast. I love it.
It needs said, Erik is coloring this.
Yeah.
And I like it.
Yeah.
I didn't think I was going to like the whole flats thing, but between like the one that you were talking about where the fire escapes are in silhouette and then the one where he's beating up all the Batman, she's beating up all the Batman villains, I think these colors are cool as fuck, actually.
I think he put a shitload of time too into like thinking about how to like ink and color the ant figure. I mean, remember he was playing around with it and featuring her in Spawn and Savage Dragon all the time, all the while. And he, I think he let out that some of those the ant creatures from Savage Dragon that looked very much like ant, like the same red colors, was kind of him just messing around to see how they would look printed and stuff like that. So when he did the ant, he kind of could nail down the look.
I mean, are they really flatted? Because I'm looking at the ant versus the Batman villain thing, and there's shading.
Yeah, there's more shading than what I thought. You look at the cover to issue 2, that is more what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Where like everyone else has literally no shading, and like Ant is the only one with any rendering.
Right.
And then you go, like you said, Jim, you go to this like double page spread where the pastiches are getting punched in the puss, and there's a shading abound, shading everywhere. So,
but Ant just seems to pop more, like the coloring. I don't know if it's just because the red, but I don't know. Even if they're shading in the background, to me it feels like the background's a little more faded in color. But maybe it's just how deep, rich the red is on Ant.
You're probably right. Sorry, that was a hell of a news item, but there's a lot of Ant to chew through. Hey, listen, y'all, that's
and
Ant.
We've been waiting a long time to talk about it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Next news item, my friends.
Yep, we got Savage Dragon 263 cover reveal. If my memory is correct, it's the one with Malcolm being crushed by Faco.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of an interesting cover in the sense that, what did it remind me of? It reminded me of another Savage Dragon cover, but it turned out it wasn't similar at all. Funny story. I can't remember any of the specifics. But it's got a very Aliens vibe, I guess, with like the alien like approaching Ripley.
Yeah,
like the little mouth shooting
absolutely.
out. I tried to edit it to have a little tiny Mako mouth coming out of Faco's mouth, but it didn't work, so I never posted it.
Oh, you should have, dude. That's funny.
Yeah. You could just flip the comic and have like Malcolm looking like he's standing up, and it would look just like Alien.
Exactly. Jim, do it anyway.
It didn't look good. I messed with it for a while.
When it comes to the memes, bad editing looks better.
Really?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I believe Craig has a news item for us. as well.
Firepower number 12 is out on stands, and that's Robert Kirkman and Chris Samney's title. Mm-hmm. And I guess they're treating it like, 1 year anniversary. It's double sized, and as part of the celebration, I think there's something like 13 variant covers by all different cool artists, and Erik is one of them. He's got a really cool cover of the lead character with this kind of Kirby crackle around his fists. But I like the book. I have not read the issue yet. I just got it today, actually. The cover looks neat. I think other notable cover artists are Frank Miller, Frank Quitely, Todd McFarlane, Rob Liefeld, a bunch of guys, but some cool covers to choose from.
Man, this was a crazy issue. Firepower dies in it.
Yeah, fuck you.
I'm joking. I'm joking. I don't even know if his name is Firepower. I have no idea.
Yes, you do. Stop lying.
Is his name Firepower?
His name
Guess you'll have
is
to read
Theodore.
it to find out.
Yeah, right. Okay. You're right. Fair enough. I'll have to say that I saw an incredibly sexy fellows meme on this one where he had edited in a word balloon next to the guy's head, and he was like saying, "Your tits look heavy. Let me give you a hand." It's very funny. I thought, man, whoever made that meme must be very handsome. Smell good, be well endowed.
I would hope so.
That was a good meme. Just a good meme, dude.
You're a good meme.
It's a great self-promoter on the internet.
Yeah.
Who is that man?
Handsome leader of men. Oof. Well, I guess that's it for the news, my fair fellows, unless you want to say anything else about Firepower.
Well, it's interesting that Eric's doing so many variant covers right now, because it's not only is the Firepower issue out this week, but he did one for Crossover, one for Geiger, over the last month. So it's interesting how many he's doing.
It's cool.
Recently.
And he had another interiors page sell for like $48,000. We didn't make it a news item because it's actually kind of happening pretty regular.
Yeah.
So I feel like Eric's work is just like in demand, which is awesome.
Of course, he didn't make a dime because it's a third-party sale.
Well, sure.
But it was notable at its value, I suppose.
That's insane.
It's just cool to see people like getting exposed to Eric's work is all. That crossover cover was great.
And apparently it did reference something in the issue, by the way.
Oh,
those
cool.
wondering.
Go ahead and spoil it for me. I don't care.
I haven't actually read the issue yet.
Oh.
It's on the slab to be read. I have not gotten to it yet.
Craig, are you still reading crossover? Or did you bail?
I get it. I haven't been reading it. I kind of fell off. I might dive into reading it. If not, it will just be sitting in my long box unread.
You lost him,
sadly.
Donnie.
I still
Sadly.
well. I mean, I suppose I'm not. I suppose I'm not rushing out to read it on the release day, which is not a good sign. But I don't dislike it. I think it's pretty good. I just.
Is it a limited series or is it?
No, it's ongoing.
Yeah.
It's trying to do some stuff like I believe the issue 6 was the end of the arc, and issue 7 is going to be like a guest writer issue. What is his name? Chipsinski?
Chip Zdarsky?
Yeah, Chip Zdarsky. He is doing issue 7.
What has he done?
Spider-Man Life Story. He's doing. He's got some comic at Image I'm reading, but I forgot the name. Stillwater. He's doing Stillwater at Image. A few other things. He writes a lot of Marvel books, or at least he did. I don't know what he's doing right now.
That one issue had what was that Donny Cates comic with like the little robo tattoo guys?
Robo tattoo guys.
Not
They
ringing
were
a bell.
drawn by a tattoo artist. It was an Image comic. It's freaking cool as shit.
Cybers a Tomahawk.
Yeah.
He did a Tomahawk?
Yeah. Best thing he ever did. Although
did you see the variant cover with him on it?
No.
The Atomic Hawk variant cover for crossover is awesome.
That's because here's the thing that's important to know about a Tomahawk is that a Tomahawk was like the tattoo artist's character. Like that was his Savage Dragon, right? And then him and Kate's teamed up to do that a Tomahawk one-shot. And so, like, dear listener, if you can get your hands on fucking a Tomahawk, do it. That fucking book's killer. At any rate, I guess the Tomahawk was in crossover. That's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, Case's other... I think we already did this bit, but yeah, is a God Country. It is references to his other works.
He's got a pretty deep bench to pull from.
Yeah, he's got a bunch of, like, creator-owned stuff.
For the listeners at home, Jim just shared his 263 Alien variant, and it is glorious. It is glorious.
I could do better. That was a rush job.
Jim?
Now you got to post it on this Erik Larson board.
Yeah, I'll have to.
For memes, I'm telling you don't have to worry about it, dude. That's hilarious. So, shuffling right along at our leisurely pace, as we do, we're getting into those FINteresting conversations. Listen, I'm feeling a little neglected here, okay? We gave you guys a really good FINteresting conversation. Only 2 people sent us replies. You're lucky, listener, because they're really good replies, but I'm very disappointed.
We're going to shame them.
I am, dude. You lieabouts. What were you doing? You're probably still mostly in lockdown. Were you vaccinated? Why are you so sad? You better write in. After we read these, we're going to give you a new one. And if you don't write in, show's canceled. We're done.
I do not
All right, so
condone this threat.
Moving right along. Listen, the last topic was, if you were given the reins to make a Savage Dragon show or movie, how would you approach it? What would you do? What would be your take? So, jumping right in. Dudes, how goes? Great question on the latest FINcast. Here's my response. We'd all agree a dragon show in any medium has the potential to be awesome. Jim and Raven, your ideas were great. A Japanime art style would definitely add some flair to the visuals and make the action look stellar. An animatrix vignette style is a great vehicle to showcase the diverse characters and plots in the Dragon universe. Craig, I think your idea was pretty much Jim's, so I'm leaving it out.
Bum, 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 bum.
Because for my money, I'm going live action, baby. The Rock stars as a dragon, starting off with a burning fireball lighting up the night sky above a vacant industrial backlot in a seedy early 90s Chicago. Nude Green Man emerges, cops appear, and the show begins. Frank Darling is Denzel Washington, or someone that looks the part if money is an issue. But remember,
I'm pretty sure Denzel will do anything for like a ham sandwich.
Are you in good hands? I'll have Eva Longoria with short hair as Alex. Maybe Kurt Russell as Super Patriot. That is a great...
I think we've talked about Kurt Russell as Super Patriot before. I think that was back when we were doing the Youngblood Strike Files retro. I think
It
we
was
talked
a
about
long
that.
time ago.
Yeah.
I like that pick a lot. The show takes place in the early 90s, pre-internet, post-communist world, with super freaks and mutants starting to gain the upper hand on law enforcement after the old guard of heroes dies off or becomes inactive. Show will maybe have a bit of kick-ass vibes, but with the costumes not being a direct translation of Erik's art. Think less The Tick and more Singer's X-Men. If I'm doing a trailer for the show, you're getting a 15 to 20 second quick fire montage featuring The Rock, Dwayne Jackson, who have Johnson.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Rock the Dwayne Johnson.
Jackson.
Who I've casted because, god damn it, the dude has Dragon's mannerisms, especially his facial expressions already built in. Not to mention an imposing build. After Dragon emerges from the fireball, maybe a Frank voiceover talking to his wife. Damn, I'm fucking this one up left and right. No one knows where he came from. He doesn't even know who he is. We need his help. Cut to Cutthroat's blade shattering on Dragon's arm. Inferno lighting up Dragon's hospital gown. Maybe some banter between Frank and Dragon. Alex makes an appearance asking for backup. Dragon dropping through a suburban home's roof, proceeding to bust some criminal heads. Then Super Patriot making his infamous mall appearance in full click-clack mode. And here's the kicker. All these montages are being watched by a figure with an exposed brain matter on an incredible number of screens at an off-Earth site at the end of the short trailer. You guys know who I'm alluding to. Cut to the title, Savage Dragon, or whatever streaming service you prefer. There'd be a bit more dialogue, but I'm just trying to paint a picture. The live-action translation I'd be going for. Show would be reminiscent of older action movies, but with digital effects you couldn't see in that era. Super Patriot's mecha arms being a showcase, along with Dragon's incredible strength and durability, strong sexual themes, nudity, coarse language, blood, but not blood just for the sake of blood or gore, just determined by situations, and a hard R rating for people of my generation. Hopes this email makes some sense as I'm rambling just a bit, as usual. Great show, guys. Keep up the great work. Tony M.
So you've clearly thought this through.
I gotta say, what do you guys think?
That's a good-ass response. You know, that was a lot of thought put into it.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this? What I'm interested in most about his approach is the idea to early comic movie the costume design. Like, what do you guys think of that?
I don't like it because I hate this the 2000s X-Men costumes a lot.
Uh-huh.
I think they were a reaction to a problem that didn't exist.
Well, sure, but there's undeniable that like it helped ease the world into these.
I disagree.
Things.
I think it was some suit decided that yellow was like kryptonite for some reason without any evidence to support that. Basically, they were chasing Batman's dick.
Yes, I can see how they'd be afraid, because sometimes trying to translate costumes to real life, they can come off goofy as shit.
I mean, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man came out basically a year later and proved that you can just do it for real. And
Not really, though. Look at how they handled Green Goblin. He was like a goddamn robot.
And he was the worst part of that movie.
It was a Power Ranger.
Mm-hmm.
And then they got him even almost as bad with that Hobgoblin, whatever.
My point is, we're living in an era where you can totally take whatever outlandish shit Kirby was drawing and put it on the big screen and people will eat it up. There's no reason to avoid it.
Isn't it amazing at this day and age now we haven't seen a Wolverine costume yet?
It is actually strange now that you say it out loud.
It's very weird. It's very
It'll
weird.
be interesting how they handle that when they have to handle it.
It's
Yellow and
amazing
blue?
that they haven't tried it.
Yellow and blue or black and brown?
Black and brown
Which-
would probably look better on film just because yellow's kind of bright.
What did you just say?
I just mean if you
Yellow looks weird, like
yellow
having
looks
a full
weird.
yellow costume.
Yeah, in reality, it doesn't look great.
Warren Beatty's Dick Tracy disagrees.
Does he?
Yeah, but it's supposed to
Yeah?
look really comic booky.
I know.
I mean, there definitely should be yellow incorporated somewhere. I'm
Yeah,
just
I
saying.
think-
I'm just saying you could do the brown and blue costume, like straight up, and it would be fine.
I think Tony's vision, though, was really solid and would compel. I feel like if you had bright colors paired with that gore and stuff, I think that live action wise, people would maybe struggle a little more. Whereas if you had it, like everything in the world was kind of like grim and gritty, and I'm just saying, like, it's funny to me because it is kind of hard for me to imagine like a Bryan Singer version of like Super Patriot.
Right. What's he going to look like? Soldier Man?
I feel like
Well,
Super Patriot's got to look like Super Patriot. If it looks like anything other than that, it's not Super Patriot to me.
But he's got that yellow shirt, right?
Yeah, I guess that could change.
Yeah, but you could make that like bronze.
I guess he has to have the mask and like the metal arms. And
Yeah.
I'm
Sure.
fine.
Sure.
And of course,
With
the
any other
cod.
changes.
Gotta have the cod piece. That's important.
Something tells me that would probably be one of the first things.
Yeah, shoulder pads and codpiece would probably get streamlined.
Well, at any rate, that was beautiful, Tony. I mean, that was exactly the kind of thing we were looking for, so thank you very much. And I'll hand it over to you, Jim.
Got another letter here. It says, hello, all long-time listeners, second-time writer. As for the topic, if I was given reins of the Savage Dragon property, I would turn it into a 2D fighting game like Dragon Ball FighterZ or Guilty Gear. There are so many awesome and crazy characters that can go up against each other, like Rita Meter Maid versus Globlo. If not that, then an old classic side-scroller beat-em-up like Streets of Rage or TMNT. As for the animation side, I would like to see Savage Dragon as a classic 4-part Japanese OVA that would end with Dragon taking down Overlord. And just wondering if you guys have seen the Frank Chow auction that he holds on Sundays. In there, he sold the Savage Dragon original 250 cover that was rejected. Here is what he wrote. Savage Dragon 250 rejected cover. Boy, this was a pain in the ass to draw. Never had I received so many criticisms over a male figure before. When you reach a certain level of popularity, you become a giant target for frustrated amateur artists and fans alike. Case in point, see this week's J. Scott Campbell's brush with an irate amateur artist who decided to quote-unquote fix Campbell's drawings. The criticisms I've received from my original Savage Dragon drawing were he's too muscular, too violent, not black enough, and he's making a white power hand signal. I shit you not. The comments and emails I get on the regular basis are hilarious and surreal. Anyway, I decided to abandon the Savage Dragon drawing and completely redrew it, echoing one of Savage Dragon's earlier covers, an homage, if you will. And the writer returns, keep up the awesome work, guys. Andres R. So, everyone thinks that Savage Dragon needs to be a fighting game or a beat-em-up. And I personally disagree fundamentally with that. But I don't know if I want to get into that right now.
Give us the soundbite version. Keep it to an elevator pitch.
I think Savage Dragon would work a lot better as like a 2D like platformer, honestly. I think you can do a lot more with like level designs, have more than one like playable character. You can basically use your powers as like I just think 2D platformer gives more options than 2D side-scrolling beat-em-up. I find beat-em-ups to be horrendously repetitive, especially outside the arcades where quarter munching was the name of the game. Fighting game, I love fighting games. I would play a Savage Dragon fighting game every day, but I always find that to be the easy answer when it comes to superhero games. And I want something more experimental than just make Marvel vs. Capcom 2 with the characters I like. Which is what it always seems to boil down to.
Fair enough. I will, for the sake of brevity, not give my opinion. And we've done it in the past, but what do you think then about Andre's sort of Japanese... it's very specific, and I like this. The 4-part Japanese OVA, original video animation, for those who maybe sort of like, you know, they weren't part of that generation.
Don't know the lingo.
Yeah, well, that's just... The thing is that's such a time capsule.
It sure
We're
is.
talking about a level of quality of animation that is like significantly higher than a TV show.
Yeah, OVAs were direct to, well, originally they were direct to VHS, then eventually direct to DVD.
Right.
And yes, they generally would have higher production. They wouldn't quite be movie quality, but they also would be superior to television quality.
Right.
Generally speaking, like just a real quick primer on this, the reason why they had better production values was because VHS companies were pumping a ton of money into them,
right,
as a incentive for rentals, rental stores, so that people would rent these movies to use on their new VHS players.
Plus,
so what are some examples of some of the more famous ones?
Macross Plus,
would know.
Macross Plus, which did get a lot of play in North America in the early 90s. There was also... wow, you put me on the spot here. I mean, there's tons of them, but it's hard for me to remember all of them.
Well, if I'm not wrong, wasn't the streamlined Fist of the North Star wasn't actually a movie? It was like a dub that they just stitched together and sold as a... I mean, it was...
I honestly don't know. I'm pretty sure Fist of the North Star, the movie, is a movie.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that's not an OVA, but there was a TV show that basically tells the same story. But I think they are different. They are not compilations of each other.
But you hit the quality mark perfect. You said it's not quite a motion picture, but it's definitely way above what you would see in like TV, because they had the budget and they just jammed it into 4 episodes instead of like fucking 27. And so, yeah, man, when he says that, Craig, if you want a picture, imagine if the entirety of Savage Dragon, the cartoon show, was only 4 episodes, but it was all as good as the intro.
Right.
Like that's what we're talking about.
And also, the other nice thing about it was, because it wasn't a TV show, episodes could be of varying length. They didn't always have to be 30 minutes. They could actually be hour long. In fact, just to bring this up real quick, the Invincible series on Amazon, although it is an ongoing TV series, the fact that it is 8 episodes long, but they are 40 or 50-minute episodes, makes it more like a Japanese OVA in many respects than like your typical television show.
That's a good way to do it. Yeah, that's a good way to sort of. Yeah, great way to paint it. Let me ask you, Craig. Because I know Jim has strong opinions on this J. Scott Campbell fix.
Oh boy!
We talked a lot about Frank's cover and whatever else. Listen, I mean, we don't have to go into this too awful much, but Andre brought it up. I feel compelled to talk about it just a little bit.
Let it out, Raven.
What do you guys think about this? What do you guys think about this whole? Because I'm going to just say it. I think that only Erik had the ability to give the thumbs down.
Right.
And I think that Frank Cho has a history of not listening to shitty fans or things that fans say. And in fact, his brand is very much flipping the bird to his haters.
Right. It's a little strange that he's saying that forced him to kind of drop it when he's constantly coming out with commissions that are the outrage commissions.
Yes, dude. It's literally a branding. He said he's got a Red Sonja cover coming up, and he's like, outrage version coming soon. And I'm like, it's literally his thing. So for him to be like, oh, I caved because all these emails, it's like, are you kidding me?
The only thing I could think of is maybe because it wasn't his own and his own character that he was doing it for Savage. He didn't want it to become a controversy for Erik.
Possibly.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I get out of it. Like, I don't know.
I find it
interesting.
interesting.
Like too violent. Someone actually said it was too violent, too muscular, not black enough.
I didn't
That's
think it was
weird.
muscular enough, honestly. He's kind of a slim-bodied dragon.
Yeah, I also honestly thought he needed more bulk.
Need more shoulders, triangle shape. Come on, guys.
I wasn't thrilled with what the original cover was going to look like, to be honest. I mean, yeah, great ninjas, but it just seemed kind of like, it's really got nothing to do with Savage Dragon. He could have put any character on, or any muscular guy with a fin on his head, and
yeah.
And then the new cover was even like more of a this is kind of just done because he needs to get it out of the way.
Yeah,
So,
phoned in.
I don't know
For sure.
When you look at, I think we had talked about this to death, but the pinup he did years and years and years ago with Dragon and Smasher, it was so awesome.
Yeah.
It would have made an amazing cover.
Mm-hmm.
And like we also said, looking at what he's done for like the Harley Quinn covers and stuff, it's like, man, like if you don't want to do it, don't do it, but don't phone it in.
Right. Yeah. It's like no one's holding a gun to your head. Like, just say no. Say no if you can't do it or don't have time or whatever else.
Or you're not feeling it.
And what? Go ahead.
I was saying if you're not feeling it, if you just don't want to do it, don't do it.
Yeah.
What kills me was like the next month, Dave Johnson was like, well, I would have done it if you would have asked. And I'm like, fuck.
No. Save him for 300, Erik.
Yeah,
Save him for 300, dude.
The only comment I have on the J. Scott Campbell situation is I will say this. In the end, what Campbell did was he basically opened up, used the whole situation to like get other people to draw their versions of the cover. And I think in the end, what that accomplished was it showed me that there are a lot of people out there who can draw attractive women in poses, in covers, who do it a lot better than J. Scott Campbell.
Man's just a product of his time, Jim. He's just a product of his time, dude. He just likes some Victoria's Secret 90s catalog bony.
I'm not talking about poses. I'm talking about there are lots of people who can draw that exact same thing way better.
Well, that can be said about anything, and I think it's a kind of a taste thing, but I don't know. There's few artists that got to the level that guy did, so I can't knock him.
I just think that, honestly, if you're going to clown your fans, clown them all the way. Like, I just think, like, don't be like, oh, I'm better back off. Oh, it's like, no, just do it, dude. Do that Malcolm cover. If someone's saying it's too violent, make it more violent. You know? Like, I'm just saying, like, don't hold
honestly,
back.
If I'm a professional, I think I'm just staying off Twitter. I just don't see anything besides promoting your stuff. Like, promote it and don't respond. Just jump off. I know you, Raven, you probably feel different because you're on it and you're a creator, but I just feel like getting people's opinions on your stuff, it's not worth it.
I don't feel different. Like, Craig, what's funny is I actually totally agree with you. It is at these peewee levels that I'm at, it's a necessity because I can't afford a social media manager. However, let me say that I agree with you. I actually think that North American comics pros are absolutely way too out there. I think they need to have a private account that they just interact publicly with their friends and family so that, like, maybe, like, you know, they can have a social media life but not have, like, fans on there being like, oh, look at him, he's always eating hot dogs and he's not making a new issue. You know what I mean? And, like, I think that they should have their private social media account so that they can enjoy themselves. And I think that when it comes to interaction with the public, you have that sloppy mess that you don't necessarily have with other, like, form like entertainment necessarily.
I just feel like, you know, the people with the voices are people that are complaining. If you like something, you're not, you know, a lot of times people aren't really going to speak up. It's the stuff that, you know, people tend to be louder when it's stuff they're dissing or think they're going to get a rise out of somebody.
Well, sure.
So, you know, for everyone that hates the cover and is posting about it, you know, there's might be 10 additional people that like it and aren't really saying anything because they just don't care enough to say it on Twitter.
Craig, to perfectly highlight what you're saying, it is, you know, for one, you could say, oh, Craig's dismissing valid complaints as a vocal minority, but I'm going to push back against that and agree with you because I do think that the silent majority typically is content. And what I'm talking about with entertainment, just generically speaking here, is like if you think about like Smash Brothers, like the world's most popular right now fighting game, right? It sold more than Street Fighter. So it's actually officially the number one. And it's moved millions and millions and millions, so much money, like the biggest fucking thing in the world. And nobody is more dissatisfied, bitchy, and malcontent than Smash Brothers fans. They get online, they fucking hate everything. They're constantly dissatisfied and constantly angry. However, that's what you see on social media. If you back up and you say, yeah, but wait a minute, hold on, let's look at sales. Most people are thrilled and are not saying shit. They're not logging on, they're not saying anything. So I do think that it's like this thing where you really kind of need to have these pros. Maybe have a social media manager, dude. Like, have somebody, because I think a PR person, on the one hand, it's cool to see pros, like, talk to people and be like, oh, hey, how about you go fuck yourself? Like, that's awesome. I actually, like, get a huge, like, I laugh. But then, unfortunately, the bad thing is that, like, a PR person would have the wherewithal to know that for every, like, person like me that's like, oh, man, that is hilarious. He told that guy to go fuck himself. There's going to be, like, 7 other people who are like, oh, dude, what a dickhead. Like, I'm never going to read.
Or going to repost it out of context.
Yeah. I told you I had that little, like, dweeb, and he was talking to me about Erik, and he was like, well, I just don't like Erik because I think he's cruel to his fans unnecessarily. And I told the guy, I said, well, I've been, like, active in the Savage Dragon community for about, like, 10, 12 years now. And I said, I've never seen that. Like, I think he can be blunt and curt, like, when the moment calls for it. And he doesn't pull his punches, but at the same time, I don't think he's cruel to his fans unnecessarily. Like, what the fuck? He gives his time all the time and, like, answers. Like, if anything, he talks to trolls and shit way more than he probably even should, right? But, like, I don't know, dude. The internet is weird. Like, people end up hating the idea of you. Right. And Jim, I'll just say when it comes to like J. Scott Campbell, what's weird is I see people hating like the idea of him, and it's like, dude, just hate his art. Like, you don't have to hate the man. Like, it's so weird how like everyone has to hate like.
Oh yeah, I don't give a shit about the man.
Yeah, it's like, let's just hate his art. Like, let's just talk about the work. It's like, this guy doesn't have to be the devil. Just because you don't like his art, just say his art sucks and move on with your life. It's fine.
And again, it's not really about that it sucks. It's that he just does the same thing forever and doesn't change at all.
One trick pony, dude.
Drawing the same thing he drew 25 years ago.
It worked for him, and now he's got a following that expects that. And it's the same thing with music and bands, you know.
In fact, he actually drew
bands that stay interesting, evolve, and the ones that keep pumping out the same old.
His art was more diverse back when he had to do interiors, and now it doesn't have to be.
I'll agree. I think he was better when he was doing interiors. When he went full pinup, I think his like talent eroded just a bit.
I definitely love Cho women.
I'm teasing. Yeah, Cho women are great, dude. I don't know, guys. Lots to think about.
Thing about Frank Cho, I feel like too, is that he was drawn the more curvy woman before that was like as big. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, you're 100% right. Like, people forget. Like, you can read old Wizard articles where just after the Bad Girl era, he was actually praised for more human-looking women, right?
Right.
Because there's clearly real anatomy in Frank's drawings. Like, there's clearly an underdrawing and a skeleton, and the organs can all fit. And so it's just kind of funny to see, like...
He definitely drew thicker women.
Yeah.
Well, it's just kind of funny
at a time
to see
when it was like J. Scott Campbell women were the most popular.
Right. Yeah. It's kind of funny to see Frank lean into that J. Scott thing when, like, for a while he was being heralded as, like, yay, we're free from the J. Scott, like, waspy thin waist.
It's got to be tough on these guys, I got to imagine. Like, going from, J. Scott Campbell was like, everyone loved his shit in the 90s. And then going from that to be kind of villainized. I mean, sure, is he at fault for some of it and have things changed? But, I kind of feel for some of these guys. There's like, they don't know what their audience is now.
Well, I definitely feel for them because it's kind of like, the thing is that they still have fans. Like you said, like, their fans are very satisfied. And so the only thing that really changed is people who dislike them have a huge platform now. And so they can jump in and be like, yeah, but this fucking sucks, and everyone likes it as a pervert and a scumbag. And it's kind of like, well, I mean, come on now. Just because you don't like it doesn't mean... Like I said, it's that need when people... It's that weird internet need. Yeah, I mean, I feel for these guys. I just think that, like, their audiences have... still retained after all these years. They're still very popular. Frank Cho clearly has tons of fans. So does J. Scott Campbell. But you just have a bigger platform for their people who don't like them. And it's that weird internet need, I think, for people to villainize things that they don't hate. I mean, things that they don't like. So it's kind of like everything would be a little bit better if maybe people just focused on things they enjoyed or whatever else. But then, again, internet, they drag in that hole.
No one stays a top artist forever. I mean...
Exactly.
Dude, when we started reading comics in the 90s, you'd see Jack Kirby and you'd be like, ugh, that's old, and things come back around or people adjust. I mean, there's heartbreaking stories like Herb Trimpe trying to draw like Liefeld,
I hear mixed stories about that. Apparently he did that because he wanted to. Apparently
really?
That's what he wanted to do. He didn't change to adapt. He just did it that way.
I find that hard to believe, though. I'm going to adapt to look just like a Liefeld clone after
Maybe he saw something he liked, and he decided to channel it.
He saw sales. That's what he liked. I don't know.
You're cynical, Craig. You're cynical on my cynical show.
All right. Well, what else? What do we got going next?
Well, I just want to say one last thing. I think Erik Larson, to bring it back to Erik Larson, I think Erik handles this kind of stuff better, or the best. Yeah. He basically ignores it and tells you flat out, your ideas are terrible. Don't suggest it to me. Your terrible ideas. Yeah,
I'm a big fan of his, this is not a democracy, it's a dictatorship. And I'm like, that's great. It's
and I think that's what people can't handle. Oh, he's so mean. He didn't listen to my belly aching.
He won't do the crossover I want.
I'm gonna tell you guys, like, seriously, legitimately, on the internet, the craziest fucking thing, and if you look, this blanket statement applies to everything, is people's ability to enact change through a computer dominates some people's behavior. And when they can't change you or a thing or whatever else simply by, like, typing into a computer, bro, they lose their fucking minds sometimes. And so, yeah, it's weird. I think people got weird sort of reactions to that. Craig, we got a new FINteresting conversation. Won't you give it to us?
So, as you guys will hear in just a few moments, we're going to be talking about the new issue of Savage Dragon, which all you listeners know by now also doubles up as a North Force Zero issue. So our question is to you, knowing right now that this is nothing more than a North Force Zero with maybe murmurings of a potential series. I'm not sure how serious it is, but Erik's mentioned that it could be a series down the road. Our question posed to you, the listeners, would be, if you had your choice and North Force did come out as a separate series, who would you have as a creative team on it? And what kind of format or schedule would it come out as? Would it be double-size issue, I don't know, digest, whatever? I have no idea. Or schedule, we're talking quarterly, we're talking monthly. And who's the art team? And the one rule we have here is it can't be Erik. Give us an art team that doesn't involve Erik Larson.
You have to assume he's too busy.
Right, especially with Ant and Savage Dragon at this point. So let's go with that. And one of you guys want to take a crack at that?
Jim?
Well, I don't really... This is always tough for me because I never really have anything off the top of my head, creator-wise, that I haven't mentioned before. I think it would be interesting to have like a actual Canadian write the thing. Trouble is I can't think of any there are definitely lots of Canadian writers out there.
Tons.
Notable ones, but I can't think of any off the top of my head because of course I can't.
Lots of great Canadian talent out there, dude.
But I think it would be interesting to have somebody who has, some familiarity with the country, and I think that would add a lot to it. I also have this weird notion that it really should just be a space book, even though it's about a Canadian super team. It should basically always be set in space.
Canadians in space.
Basically, yes.
Very North Force.
I think art-wise, to play into that that sci-fi angle that I want, you'd have to get somebody like I hate always going back to this but I really love his art. Paul Pelletier. I think he does.
Who?
Paul Pelletier was a.
Obviously, you don't go back to that well enough.
Yeah, go to that well more.
So he did. I most know him from CrossGen. He did this title called Negation, which took place primarily in space, and it was a big sci-fi series. It was basically like the adventures of a bunch of weirdos in the negative zone. Is basically the short version of it, or not the yeah. But he also did runs on Exiles, which was a Marvel Universe reality hopping series. He did art on Great Lakes Avengers with Dan Slott in the early 2000s. most recently, he's been doing stuff in like I think he drew Batgirl for a while. I think he did Aquaman before that.
Mm-hmm.
But I just have always loved his art. He does really cool, like he draws muscles really good. Is what I'm trying to say, and that's why I think he would actually look great drawing Dragon. I always suggest him as like an Erik replacement if that was ever necessary. That's where I bring him up. I just think he would make a really neat looking North Force, because his North Force is a bunch of weirdos, and I think a guy who can draw a bunch of weirdos, a bunch of very different looking characters, he'd be a good choice. Now, if I could just think of a good writer, Ron Mars. Let's just go with Ron Mars. Ron Mars is great at everything.
You don't want Mark Millar?
God no, fuck no.
I mean, he's Scottish. He should know Canada pretty well.
Yeah, that's not how that works.
Right? What about you, Craig?
I was thinking art. Do you remember that? Do you guys know who Dan McDade is?
No, give us
Jersey Gods.
Oh,
Jersey Gods. I'm gonna look at it.
Familiar with it? Haven't read it.
So Dan McDade, and I'm trying to think what other comics he's done, but his art is pretty amazing, and I've been a big fan. So Jim, I'm looking. He did an IDW Judge Dredd Mega City Zero artist.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
Yeah, this is good stuff, dude.
His stuff is awesome, and I just would like to see more of it. I don't know if there's any other big things that come across that he's done, but anyway, I would love to see him handle some Erik Larsen characters. I actually got a Savage Dragon pinup sketch by him at a convention once, but yeah, I'm a big fan. In terms of writing, I don't know. It's hard to picture someone else writing Larsen characters.
What's cool about this North Force, and this is for our listeners too, who hopefully will be replying to this, is that aside from what we get in North Force Zero, we kind of have a blank slate. So why don't you let your imagination run wild? Like, you don't have to have this be a Larsen-style book. In fact, I would argue that Freak Force that we've been reading for the Savage FINcast Retros kind of is a little bit stronger for not trying to just ape Erik. You know what I mean?
Right.
So who would you see complimenting your artist well?
I don't know. Why don't you go ahead and you tell me?
Oh, geez. Team book, Mark Millar.
Even though it'll incur the wrath.
Are you really
Jim?
You really like that guy's writing?
No, I like him 50-50. Like, he either knocks it out of the park or stinks it up. You know what? I'm going to say, listen to this crazy pick. I'm going to say Gerard Way, the dude that did Umbrella Academy.
Oh, yeah, he's a good choice.
Yeah, he can do a team book very well. And I just finished his National Anthem run, and I think that he would handle multiple characters because I think he can do distinct voices very well. He does clever dialogue well. Yeah, I'm going to say that guy plus your artist, knock it out of the park.
Nice.
Knock it out of the park.
You said the artist's name was Ulysses Faranas, right?
For what?
Well, the artist you were picking.
No, Dan McDade.
Dan McDade. I don't think they did Mega City Zero. I'm going to do more research on that.
I don't know. I just looked at his wiki and it listed it. So
Before you go-
MCDAID. Dan
Before you go,
McDade.
Craig, I like what Jim did, where he said he envisioned his North Force as a space book. How do you envision your North Force? How do you see this coming together? Like, what do you want out of it?
Putting me on the spot, but I don't know. I don't want it to be anything like. I don't think it needs to be like so like Canada. Just treat it as like another superhero team. I don't know though. I don't know. Like, I feel like if you put too much emphasis on them being Canadian, it's kind of like a little kind of over the top. But I really haven't put much thought into what I would like.
Interesting.
They just have to be cool, fight big characters, be the Avengers of, the Savage Dragon universe.
So basically,
what do you
basically
think?
they're having them be based out of Canada, but just deal with the same level threats that like American teams.
Yeah,
would.
they're not just we only fight the Canadian
Right.
villains, and I don't know. It's just they're just the Avengers basically. They just happen to be based in Canada.
I mean, that makes sense. That would be an interesting take. Basically, yeah, exactly that. Instead of being like Alpha Flight, who only deal with Canada problems, or what have you.
That's a good take. Global.
They're a global force. They just happen to be based out of Canada.
That's a good take. And that's surprising to me because, I mean, small brain take here, but obviously I think Canada when I think North Force. So yeah, that's a good twist. Have them be global and like to say of to hold North Force in a JLA regard. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised at that. That's a good one. That's a good take. Am I going?
Go for it.
All right, baby. I got a dream team for you guys. So I'm getting Doug Mahnke, Mahnke. I'm probably saying it wrong. You know him from just shit tons of DC. DC's his bread and butter. But I'm trying to think of prominent DC work. He's just done everything. He's a DC workhorse.
What's
He's
his
been
name?
with them. Doug Mahnke, Mahnke.
Manke.
It's Mahnke.
That name
But-
is very familiar.
He's an old head. He's been with DC a long time, so this is not a fresh face. This is a guy that's been doing. But here's my choice. Why? Here's why. Because I think Doug does superhero shit just goddamn fantastic. Obviously, he's at DC. He can do a shit ton of body types and personality, and he's like old school DC.
Yeah.
Where like you're gonna see a fat bald guy, and you're gonna see an old woman. And what's cool about North Force is it's got a lot of versatility in its cast, right? Like there's an old woman and there's a native and there's all kinds of like, there's sort of a more like fat, like lesbian character and like, it's not fat, but stalky, like more like, big.
Butchy,
and I think
yeah.
I think Doug would do a really good job of making everybody like distinct. Like he does all kinds of like body diversity.
Did Doug co-create the mask?
I don't know if he did, but he definitely should be the artist you think of when you think of.
I primarily know him for Major Bummer.
Yes, yeah, okay. He also did that Superman story, that well-known like "What's So Funny with Truth, Justice, and the American Way" with Manchester that introduced Manchester Black.
That one, yes.
Yeah, so Doug is super old school DC, and he's doing a shit ton of like, but like Doug is one of those guys that like he's fucking incredible. He's like Greg Capullo level of like rendering and just, but at the same time,
yes, he did create the mask.
he created it.
Yeah, co-created. He was
Co-created, okay.
Yeah.
So Doug kicks ass. So Doug is my artist. I'm choosing him because I think that he can draw a shit ton of heroes together looking awesome. He can do a ton of body diversity and stuff like that. Now, for my writer, I'm going to get Pete Milligan, right?
Oh, Milligan? Yeah, that's a good choice.
So the reason I'm choosing him is because he, in his run on Ecstatics, it was X-Force, then it became Ecstatics, he did soap opera. Like superhero soap opera really well, right?
Yeah, I liked Ecstatics a lot.
Yeah, he did. And again, the characters, the personality of the Ecstatics characters was so good. And so now you're kind of seeing my vision for my North Force is you've got this like crazy superhero rendered stuff where everybody is like, just rippling with muscles and like beautiful and dynamic and stuff. But then you've got Pete Milligan writing their kind of soap operatic lives because everybody here has secret identities. So it's very kind of classic, like superhero soap opera. And like in this issue, not to jump too far ahead, but they talk about their problems with their personal lives and stuff like that. And that struck a chord with me. I was thinking, man, you know, if I was going to read a whole book ongoing of North Force, it would be full of these people trying to juggle their lives and their superhero shit. And I think that would be a good contrast to what we get in Dragon, where like he's just Dragon all the time. So that's my North Force, bros. That's it.
Yeah, that actually sounds pretty awesome.
Thank you.
I do.
Sounds good.
I do like Milligan's writing, and I find it interesting you bring up X-Force Ecstatics because yeah, that would be probably a good template to follow.
Yeah, man, absolutely.
It's so long ago now too. When you think
Crazy
about
how
when
long
those
ago
came
it
out.
was.
Dude, I had all those issues. I got rid of them, and I should have bought the omnibus when it came out, and I didn't. And now I'm kind of because I feel like I want to read them again.
It's good. It holds up. I was reading it the other day, and I was just thinking to myself, man, I care more about Mr. Sensitive than like
What happened to all those characters?
They died and went to hell.
Is that true?
Yeah, and then they came back. But like, and I tried to read the new stuff, and it's by Pete Milligan, and Mike Allred was drawing it. But I was like, you know what? I like it better that they died and went to hell. I'm just going to leave it. That's where their story ended for me.
Even the green guy, what was his name? Bloop?
Dupe.
Dupe lived.
Dupe.
Yeah,
But I never
Dupe
understood.
still shows up occasionally.
Yeah,
He's
Dupe's-
like the Slimer of the Marvel Universe.
He is, dude. Somebody just put a bunch of potato lumps on Slimer and was like, this is a character. Yeah.
Well, what do you say, guys?
Well, I say before we leave, tell people to send their FINteresting Conversation answers to.
That's going to be savagefincast@gmail.com. You can write in with your answer to our topic or send in a topic of your own to suggest. And we might very well use it. But yes, write in. I want to read 6 letters next time. We enjoy your takes, and it's a lot of fun.
So
with that said,
as you were,
I think it's time.
I think it's time for. Oh, I'm so hungry.
A little bit of meat and
Potatoes. Boil them, mash them, stick them in a stew.
we've got like 3 different comics to cover. Oh, wait, it's just the same cover. Actually, that's not true. North Force Zero's got a little extra, which I thought was interesting. So why don't we start off with the covers?
Yeah, man. I got to tell you, do you guys ever unfortunately wind up at the image solicitations and see the comments?
Sometimes.
It's a nightmare. I don't recommend it.
Yes.
People were
So
shitting.
let's talk about it.
So let's talk about it. People were shitting all over this cover, and I love this cover. You know what? Not that you're ever going to listen, but fuck you, random commenters.
People who say, "Is that Guardian?"
Bro.
That's getting so annoying.
Alpha Flight.
So, tangential to this cover, I recently did. How do I phrase this? I did a little bit of research because I was curious about something. So I often try to promote Savage Dragon on the internet, of course. And when I do so, I like to include imagery in order to help entice.
Sure, smart.
And so I try to get covers with like lots of weirdos on them, lots of characters, so that people can go, "Oh, look at all these characters that are in Savage Dragon." Funny thing about Savage Dragon, because Erik doesn't phone it in, there are actually super few like team shots on Savage Dragon covers.
Yeah, not a lot of pinup type things.
Yeah, so there's like 7 covers with Dragon and like a bunch of other people, and one of them is the Vicious Circle. The other one of them is like all the Image United guys, and one of them is North Force. So there's only like 4 covers with like a group running at you.
In 30 years, he's only gone to that well 4 times.
Yeah, there's the SOS group shot from issue 40, I think. There's the Running At You cover from 115, the double wraparound. And then there was a Malcolm and Angel and everybody running at Freak Force coming at you very recently, like back in like 240 something. I forget exactly which issue off the top of my head. But that's it. That's all there are. So this cover that we have here on 259 is highly unique. One of only 7 in existence.
I also like, probably unique, is that they're not really coming at you. They're running past you.
Right.
I like that. I like it, dude. Yeah, man. Solid. To me, it's a kick-ass cover. I think North Force all have very cool and interesting superhero-y designs, and I fucking think this is a badass cover.
I like the North Force logo.
Yeah. It's good,
Clean.
right?
Clean, yes.
Easily read. It's neat. What do you guys think of Erik doing this little, I don't know if you call it an experiment, but doing the North Force Zero with the kind of just a little bit different?
It's a little cheeky.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's not something, like, I'm not going to go out of my way and buy both because I don't feel it necessary.
Uh-huh.
Because even though there are differences between the two issues, like dialogue-wise, captioning-wise, the character bios, that sort of thing, it isn't enough to be different.
What about you, Craig?
Do you think it confuses the shit out of people who aren't Savage Dragon fans to see these two side by side?
Probably. It probably confused people.
So,
I know at least one person who has see, Comixology has a subscription like function where you can checkbox a series and basically on day of release it will automatically buy it for you. And they were fucking confused because North Force is actually filed underneath the Savage Dragon banner, and so they got charged for both issues automatically, and they were actually a little bit pissed that they had been charged for the same book twice. I had to explain
That's
to them
kind of annoying.
I had to explain to them that they are different, just not dramatically so.
If you're not that big a fan, it's not different enough for you to be like, oh yes, please charge me for a whole new book.
yeah, especially when we're talking, what, $4?
I mean, it will make it could make sense if there is a series to follow, to have this Zero issue act as the lead-in.
I guess, but if you're a digital reader, not into like the collectability, and you're just getting Savage Dragon already, then it's kind of annoying.
I think it's an interesting experiment. I don't know if it was worth the effort.
I think it was, because I think regardless of you know how we react to it, having a North Force Zero is going to sell way more copies than just selling a 259.
Right.
And so if it brings more people to check it out and maybe pick up Savage Dragon, then hey, or drums up more sales than
But
Savage
is it going to
259.
lead people to Savage Dragon? Because if I recall correctly, the issue doesn't like end with to be continued in Savage Dragon or anything.
Yeah, that's a little weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
The
it's-
I
only
would
thing
call that a drop ball. Yeah.
The only thing I could say is that Malcolm's so heavily featured in it,
yeah.
and the characters, like their profiles, talk about their first appearances in Savage Dragon, that it might lead someone to want to read more Savage Dragon. But I don't know.
I
also,
think
good.
no, you go ahead. Also,
One last thing I was just saying is also it just more shops are going to pick up this issue, and it features Malcolm. So just because it's an issue 0, it's going to get ordered way more.
Right.
what I just like to say that I'm glad that the experiment exists. I think that unfortunately, when you do anything, bro, dude, I only have 1,200 pages of my comic, and people are telling that's only like 33 issues, and people are telling me it's too overwhelming. I can't read it, and it's like I hear it all the time. And so when you have a long running series, like, dude, you have to do stuff. You have, it is necessity. You
Especially if you're the same artist and writer, and you're not switching. Like
but
Spawn.
Well, there's no. That's the thing, is books that shuffle have the, oh, guess what? Greg Capullo returns,
New
and it's a
creative
headline
team.
getter. Yeah, yeah. Whereas people will very quickly write you off when you are the same creator as, oh, just more Savage Dragon, oh, just more One Piece, oh, and it's like any long-running series has this issue, right? And so, to me, this experiment is absolutely necessary. It's absolutely vital, and I do think that it was good. I think, Jim, actually, I'm glad you brought up the digital collectors thing because I hadn't thought of it. It's actually a super shitty bargain for, like, digital collectors. For me personally, being a physical collector, I don't mind it at this point in time because, A, it helps the book. B, I mean, bro, when it comes to Savage Dragon, I've collected everything. So, like, to snap up, like, one extra issue, it doesn't hurt my wallet and it doesn't, like, make me mad, right? So, like, I personally don't care. And fans that don't like it have a choice. He never sold it as anything different than what it is. He always said, no, this is just the same issue with, like, bios. That being said, I do wish that it had made more of an effort to sell Malcolm 2, you know?
Yeah.
Like, we had North Force bios that I think are fucking awesome. The bios are really good. I wish there had been at least a Malcolm bio, right?
Right.
Isn't it weird how there's house ads for like 3 different Image comics, but you would think he would have put a house ad for Savage Dragon in it?
Right.
Or like a big back cover ad or something.
Yeah. Follow more Adventures of Malcolm or whatever.
Yeah, he could even just like update his old, like, remember the like ad that's like just
Hey,
the
little
dad?
Jimmy.
Yeah, that one. All he'd have to do is just Photoshop in a more recent cover of Savage Dragon, and then boom, still run that ad because that's a great ad.
Yeah. Yeah,
I guess-
I feel like that's a little bit of a missed opportunity.
Yeah, I just wish, as much as I do like it and it doesn't bother me, I wish that it had worked harder to sell Savage Dragon 2.
Right.
You blew it! So, that being said, how you guys feeling about, like, you know, jumping into this double-page spread here?
Well, let's talk about the first the singles page spread, which is different depending on which issue you bought or if you bought 2. I mean, one's titled Welcome to North Force, and the inside cover is like the green Savage Dragon, and then the other, you know, the North Force one is kind of got the different inside cover, and it's titled The New Recruit. It also has some of these caption boxes on the North Force one, which I really liked. Reading when I read I read both of them, or I compared them side to side, and I thought the story read better in the North Force issue, and I'm not sure why.
Because the North Force issue is intended to be read as if it was like your first issue.
You don't know much about
It's like you don't know
Yeah.
anything about Savage Dragon. This is the first issue of North Force that you're buying. You have never read Savage Dragon before. So
I get
this
it, but
is to explain what you don't know.
I get it, but I feel like it wouldn't have hurt to put into the Savage Dragon. I feel like it kind of reads a little better with the captions in there, even if it is a little bit of a we know this already.
I'll agree, Craig. I think
like the
omitting
whole-
them...
Yeah.
I just say I think omitting them didn't really help.
Right. Like even on that first page on the North Force issue, you get his kind of internal thought, this is not a good idea. I think
Do
that
you?
adds something. I wouldn't have known, like, he's hesitant about it otherwise.
Is that Malcolm's, like, narration? Like, I guess that's kind of the thing. It's like, is Malcolm the narrator on this?
Oh, is that what you're getting at, maybe? That's not Malcolm saying this is not a good idea?
Well, I guess that's the thing, is it's not overly abundantly clear who the narrator is, because it's like, this is not a good idea. And then when you flip it open, it's like the person talking is talking about Malcolm.
I'm pretty sure it's Erik.
Yeah,
Or
do you think...
It's the omnipresent.
the-
It's the omnipresent narrator.
It's not
Yeah,
the Canadian?
No,
I don't think it's one of the characters.
Yeah,
But
it's
then-
a little confusing, but...
But then who is that? This is excruciating. Like, I guess I had a little
it's
bit
Erik.
of a problem.
Erik is saying that.
Do you think that's it?
I think that's the joke, yeah.
See, I took it as Malcolm.
I saw someone else having a little bit of a tiny bit of a struggle there, where they were like, who's the narrator? I don't think it hurts the comic, but I don't think it necessarily, like... I think having maybe, like, the narrator not necessarily... Because I think it kind of dances a little bit between just your omnipresent narrator to a narrator that is definitely, like, in the moment.
Because the narrator, this is excruciating, is referring to Malcolm's one-side conversation. It's a joke. It's like the narrator is sick of this, just like everyone else is.
Yeah, I didn't read it that way when at first, so it's interesting.
You read it as Malcolm, right?
Yes.
See, what's funny is I read it as Malcolm too, but then on the next double-page spread, those seem like someone talking about Malcolm.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's kind of like, to me, it jumped a little bit around.
Right. All right,
or maybe I'm a dumbass. I don't know.
I don't know. But let's talk about that double-page spread that I
You seem
rudely interrupted on.
Well, it's just, I love it, dude. Like, this is the first time you see North Force out of their costumes, and I was pretty surprised.
About who was
Did you
who?
Did you try to guess who was who without reading
Yeah.
it?
Yeah.
Were you totally off like I was?
Big time, dude. I was wrong as hell on almost all of it.
Yeah, I think the only one I got was like the Canadian.
I think it's kind of like, this is a really interesting team. Because, like, when you see North Force in costume, you don't necessarily get that it's a team of mostly women.
True.
Yes.
And when you see them out of uniform, it's just like, oh, shit, like, it's just Francois and the Canadian, you know? Like, they're the only dudes.
Yeah,
I love
Francois, too, was not a type of guy I pictured to be in the jet costume.
Yeah, he's not svelte enough.
At all, dude. Right? Yeah. And the knight being the more like butchy type lesbian.
Right.
I was just like, nice, dude. I liked it.
And then the feral character is like an elderly woman.
Yeah, dude. We were lusting after her. I was like, uh-oh. I got that G-Mill fever, I guess.
She still has white hair.
I know, dude.
That was the secret.
That was the secret. It was so funny. I was like, oh, dude, her white hair is just old people hair.
And then another Savage Dragon female character that turns into kind of a muscular male character.
Yeah.
Which I didn't see that coming. Talking about the Nina Red Cloud turning into Grizzly.
Yeah. It's awesome, dude. Like a werebear.
And it seems totally different because she seems pretty straight-laced. And Grizzly comes off, to me, kind of like a Bad Rock type character. At least that's what I thought, but maybe I was
like
totally wrong.
A bit of a dumbass?
Yeah, like a party kind of guy. Maybe it was the glasses. I don't know.
Craig sees those glasses and thinks, party time.
That's right.
Yeah, dude. I did not see Northern Light, like Flaming Skullhead.
I love that you're still calling that character Northern Light.
Right.
Really? Because, I don't know, I guess I called that one.
That was one of the only ones for me that I thought I knew.
Well, just, burning the afro off is all.
It does raise a bunch of questions. Like, I assume her hair is still there when she deflames.
No.
It's kind of like Ghost Rider, I think.
Ghost Rider. That's exactly it. It's like Ghost Rider. It just flames off. It's fucking awesome, dude. I used to, as a kid, love Ghost Rider. And the idea of just your powers just burning your fucking flesh off is just fucking metal as hell.
I thought the Canadian was going to actually be a pasty dude.
Me too, dude.
No, it's just grease paint.
He just turns into some frost creature or something.
I don't think he's got snow powers. I think he literally just cakes on white shit.
You think so?
just-
You think it's
Yeah.
paint?
I think
I
it's just
do.
paint.
I think it's just paint.
Or it's part of his costume, like it's form fitting or something.
Yeah,
It's kind of genius that you'd paint your
Lower jaw.
skin to kind of keep people off your trail.
makes you wonder why Batman doesn't do it, right? Remember
Just
in
paint it all
Batman
purple.
when Vicky Vale identified him by his chin?
Yeah. Which you totally would, too. How many people recognize you when you have, like, a face mask on?
Yeah, it's pretty bad. Any rate, I loved them out of their costumes. I was like shocked. I just wasn't expecting it to just jump. Well, for one, all right, we got to talk about this too, guys. Like, what'd you think of the whole like? Yeah, dude, we have alter egos. Like, that's not a thing that's in Savage Dragon a ton. Of course, Star had an alter ego. You know, sort of a covert secret identity.
Right.
But like the bulk of Savage Dragon characters were freaks in Chicago, so they were just like fucking super all the time, right?
Right.
Horridus, you know, can't like turn into a normal woman. You know, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I wasn't expecting these guys to have the whole like secret identity, and I damn sure wasn't expecting the entire team to have secret identities. What do you guys think of that?
Well, I was just gonna say I think it's pretty funny. I think it's a more traditional super team in that regard.
Yeah, I was surprised. I'm just saying, like, it's very kind of like. That's why I went with Doug Menke on my book. I was like, dude, this is kind of like your kind of Marvel DC kind of thing,
right?
More DC than Marvel even.
That's true. Marvel had a bunch of guys who didn't have secret identities. Of course, even back in the early days, characters like Thor and Captain America and Iron Man all had secret identities. It was.
Don't you feel like they kind of moved away from that though?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's no longer the case by like decades at this point.
And so it's kind of funny that here's Erik is introducing this brand new super team, and he chooses, to me, in my mind, to go very throwback by having everybody just. We all got secret lives, dude.
Yeah, we all lie to our families.
They don't all lie to their families. just some of them. Some of North Force has that secret. Oh, sorry, huge traffic jam.
That whole invincible thing going on.
Right. So it's cool, and yeah, man, I gotta say I like the look of him. I like all these characters just all have like different kind of like personalities, even in their expressions. Like Connie Chin, like the next page, past the splash page, like you can see in Connie's face, like she's always smiling, like she seems nicer. You know, like fucking Nina Red Cloud seems mean all the time. Like she's kind of like a mean character, you know.
Right.
It's just kind of like Francois seemed like a dick on the first page, but like, dude, he seems totally cool the rest of the time. Like, his thumbs up, like just this goofy looking dude. A lot of armor amongst this team too.
A lot of what?
A lot of armor, a lot of like kind of an Iron Man
armored
kind of thing.
Costumes.
Yeah, because only a few of them have superpowers.
Right, you got Nina that becomes a bear, you know, Chao Sing Huang becomes like Raptor. You've got Danielle Davis becomes the Flame. So those three are sort of like morphing into their alter egos.
Right.
And then what's funny is Michael, the Canadian, he doesn't really get into his thing.
Yeah.
He's
I assume he's like a super soldier, is basically my assumption.
Like a Canadian Captain America?
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I can see that. Well, I'm just saying we still kind of really don't like know really, you know. But what are you guys' vibes? What are you getting off of these? What are you getting from these characters already?
I mean, go ahead, Craig.
I was just gonna say one thing I thought was cool was kind of the close up on the Knight where you can see in the armor and you can see her face.
Yeah,
I thought that was a cool look. Honestly, from this issue, I didn't get that much out of like You got a few pages of like a little bit about their background, but I need more to judge this group on.
See,
I feel like. Go ahead.
I'll continue.
I feel like Grizzly's kind of got the most spotlight, but the rest of the guys need more.
I personally don't have a problem with it being kind of vague at this point because it is primarily an introduction to the team, not so much the individuals. We get enough to show that they're all kind of different people, have different personalities and agendas, but they all seem to be like all for that superhero life. It's just that they all have secret identities, which is what makes them kind of different than what the usual like Savage Dragon like superhero is.
I think you get a lot, dude. I think you get like kind of like it paints like a lot of really cool world building. Kind of like how like even this page of heads, which by the way, I loved this layout where it's just like a page of heads.
The profiles.
Yeah, where they're
which
just,
one are you talking about? The profiles or the
well, there's actually
page?
there's 3 pages of heads, which is kind of funny.
well, the one where it's like stacked heads, like there's like a column of heads, and only Connie is like standing. Malcolm's standing at the top, and Connie's standing at the bottom. But like, I love this layout because it was just kind of like a. It's funny because it's talking heads literally, but it's an interesting layout, so it makes it like, work, right?
Well, it is pretty fun when you look at, rarely do you have as many pages of just talking heads as you have in this issue. But he does it in so many varied ways, between the double page splash, then you got the one with just the kind of rectangles, the faces straight on, and then you got the splash with all the floating heads, which is kind of a neat thing. And then the next page is the profile is all stacked up. So he always keeps it interesting. It's not 4 pages of just front-facing panels,
Right.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, I loved it. I was like, wow. Again, like from a comic artist kind of a thing, I'm just like, dude, I always say cartoonists should read Savage Dragon. Because it's like, here is 4 pages of talking heads, but it's not talking heads in a traditional sense, like once. It's something like visually interesting.
An amateur artist would definitely have done just like those front-facing panels like 4 times.
Right, yeah. But I think there's cool world building. Like you were saying, like you guys were like, I need more. But like to me, it's kind of like they paint such, over these few pages, I feel like you get such a good like vibe of like, okay, well, they're all doing their own thing, but then you've got the Canadian who is kind of like just leader vibes out the wazoo, like uniting the Avengers, the Canadian Avengers here. And like they've got like the whole, like Francois was talking about, like, oh, you've got like Raptor talking about like unique like things we don't know about as Savage Dragon readers, like, oh, when Wendell writes robot raiders kidnap the Prime Minister's daughter. So it's like very Canadian. But then like Francois writer underneath is like, oh, the first time we met Raptors when the Lava Lords attacked, which is very Savage Dragon, right?
Yeah.
And so I love, to me, how it like there's a lot of world building with these characters in a short amount of time. Like even like them just talking about like they just, even though the Canadian tried to unite everybody, like they just happened to meet Grizzly in a bar when she like flipped out and like mauled a dude.
Right. I guess I was hoping for a little bit more on like what their capabilities are. Like show, instead of just having them punching, show me what Jet does. Does he have like little contraptions, or is he just flying through people at like, the speed of light or whatever? What is Bluebird like? All right, she's got armor with wings, but what can she do, besides just fly?
I will totally agree with you there.
Same thing with the Knight. Like, give me a little like taste of what their each individual power is.
Totally agree with you there, dude.
Especially
would have been great to see him. Sorry. Yep, go ahead.
No,
I'm just agreeing.
Especially in like an issue 0 where you're trying to like really showcase them, which is why I like that the issue 0 has the profiles. Mm-hmm. It gives you that extra little, stuff to read about them that maybe you're not seeing on the panel. But I do really want to see it.
Totally agree. Yep, I don't disagree at all. Like, I want to see, just like Super Patriot's clacky gun arms, just like Mighty Man, like, just like flying and just busting ass, like kicking people all over. Like, just like, dude, let's see the Knight chopping someone in half. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Like Blue Jay and the Jet both basically have the same power. Like, show me how they're different,
Agreed. Yeah. Totally agreed.
Does she shoot like metal feathers like Archangel or something like that? Or blasters or something? I don't know. I'm just saying, can she cut things with that? I just wanted to know a little bit more. It would have been nice to get some of that rather than just them punching.
So, I think this bit with the pool is funny because, again, we're talking about Malcolm's, like I said, the secret chosen one superpower of aiming.
Yeah, I like that.
Comes
it kind of brings it back to that.
It comes off as a pool hustle.
Yeah. I like those little callbacks because at times, even long-time readers, we forget that he's got those abilities. Just like once in a while, Dragon would, like, spit a bullet or something or a coin and it would go through someone's head. Or, you know what I mean? Like the super accuracy and the ability to, shoot something with their breath or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I love the texture on the pool table.
Yeah, there's definitely some interesting coloring going on to give it some of that textured look, and Erik adds a little bit of a few lines to make it look like felt, which is a nice look.
It's funny how they go out of their way to introduce this Seamus pug.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like North Force has somewhat of a support team in general. They are I believe they're a government-funded super team, so they got helicopters and regular people doing stuff. Interns.
Emergency! Along those lines, though, Craig, I will say that I do love that we get just a taste of, like, Grizzly, like, bearing out. Like, we get him becoming a bear, and then, like, the fro burning off. Just a taste. I like the transformation. Just a taste.
Right.
What were you saying?
I was just going to say, did you guys expect Malcolm's Don't Run Off into Space... fucking Maxine's Don't Run Off into Space to be a foreshadowing?
Yes.
You did? Okay.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I'm an idiot.
I mean, I had a lot of thoughts about how this issue was going to end, and that was definitely, like, one of them.
Mm-hmm. Look how annoyed North Force looks in that first panel.
Also,
like
if anyone ever calls me hollandaise sauce, it's over.
The worst pet name. Is this the first time we're seeing the maple leaf from above?
You mean the plane? Yes.
Yeah, that's the North Force has like a Quinjet.
I mean, I don't think we've actually seen it before, because last time it was a helicopter.
No, we've seen it before. I feel like the issue after the helicopter showed up.
But yeah,
Sure.
it's pretty much a Quinjet, yes, with Canadian. Bright red, easy target.
Canadian Quinjet. Yeah, this is where we, like, the sequence after Malcolm gets done with his phone call, we get a nice little... See, what's funny is that, like, Malcolm's getting judged the whole time, right?
Right, because he's being recruited.
Right. And, taking that phone call from Maxine surprisingly grates North Force. They're kind of dicks about it.
I love how you don't hear what Maxine is telling Malcolm, but it's like, no, turn on the news if you don't believe me. No, we're not. I wouldn't do that even if it was part of their initiation. So you know what she's asking, what she's saying.
I gotta say, Malcolm is starting to get a bit of his dad in him about how dismissive he is about, like, these team organizations. When he says, I won't be gone 1 minute longer than I have to, it's like this entire operation is, like, beneath him. Like, he does not give a shit about hanging out with these people.
It's not that. I think he just, like, is not going to turn his back on his family, you know? Like, he's not going to go running off into space.
Right.
Sometimes you don't get a choice. Sometimes space abducts you.
Sometimes space chooses you.
I thought you were going to say that, Jim. Sometimes you don't choose space. Sometimes space chooses you.
I gotta say, on all these pages, Grizzly just steals the show for me.
Grizzly's the coolest. I mean, of North Force, Grizzly's definitely the coolest.
Really? Because I actually think the Knight is the coolest. Grizzly's just the most, probably, visually interesting. Quick question. Back to that, you only hear one side of the conversation. You guys we're pretty sure that Maxine is asking if he's going to a strip club, right?
No, it's an orgy.
I was saying orgy.
Orgy, yeah.
Right, yeah, okay, that makes more sense. Same deal.
Because I think Maxine would totally be okay with him going to a strip club. She'd probably be okay with the orgy.
Yeah, well, she would be, but Malcolm's not into it.
He's scared. He's got scary
He's not
tendencies.
scared, he doesn't like it. Monogamous.
He is monogamous.
Well, except for that one
monogamous.
Yeah, dudes. I gotta say, I think the coolest visual. I'm sorry. I think the coolest visual in North Force is Flame Skull.
Really?
All day
You don't
long.
think it's Grizzly's ass on that panel?
Grizzly's ass on that panel is awesome. Don't jump ahead. I want to talk about that ass in a minute. But no, look at, like, I'm going to make my case. Like, flip the page, and then how badass, who's front and center but Flame Skull, even getting to yell, let's do this.
Flame Skull and her big titties.
Yes, sir.
I mean, Canadian and Knight and Raptor are sort of jumping to their deaths, but...
You got to assume they can take it, is all. It's a great splash page, though. I fucking love this
got
splash.
his awkward jump.
He's just sort of falling, you know. Whoa.
Maybe they're just falling down, and then they're going to get caught by a jet and bluebird or blue jay before they hit the ground.
Jim, you know what the internet will never appreciate?
What?
That Erik gave the Knight unisex chest plate. Didn't do boob armor.
Correct. Yep.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, the internet will never give him kudos for that, but he deserves it.
Boob plates.
Boob plate. Nah, dude.
He didn't make her like half naked, like Red Sonja.
It's actually kind of funny. I was reading about this on Twitter. There's no real historical like boob armor because women didn't fight in armor. But realistically, boob armor makes sense, just to protect the woman's chest because compressing the chest is very dangerous.
Sure. I am too afraid to have an opinion, so I won't say shit.
You're canceled.
I feel like someone will be like, actually,
you're wrong.
There was a ton of boob armor everywhere. You're an idiot. I'm not going to say anything. No, I love this splash page. I feel like, you know what? Say what you will about this issue, bro. I feel like we get a ton of great splash pagey goodness.
You know, it's kind of cool.
You almost have to with a team.
Yeah. It's really cool to see aliens being a threat again.
Yes,
especially their little disc UFOs. They're very reminiscent of the Martians, or at least how Erik would draw their ships.
You talking about Mars Attacks Martians?
Yeah, the ones who were way back during like Savage World, when Cyberface had them under control and would use them to harry Dragon all the time.
Yeah, I love the insides of those ships. They're all like the red lights.
Yeah.
Those are cool.
But they were pretty much just discs as well.
Yep.
Sky discs. Easy to draw.
And yet, this is a fucking kick-ass page.
The aliens are pretty interesting. I mean, they're bruisers, big heads, teeth. No dicks, no cocks, for once.
Yeah. I wanted to ask you guys about that.
I think we're done with the swinging cock error.
Yeah, kind of dialed it back, right? I think there was a time not long ago when these guys would have just had dicks swinging around.
Rock schlong.
So, we kind of get a panel. Everyone gets a panel.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone gets a panel. You get a panel. You get a panel. Sorry.
So we do kind of get to see some of the stuff that they do. But you're right, like Jet kind of just flies through stuff, which is kind of basic, but still pretty cool. One thing, kind of interesting to me, in the page where Grizzly's getting rammed.
Mm-hmm.
The butt panel?
The butt panel.
The butt panel, yes, but not so much the butt. I'm good with the butt. Butt's fine. I'm more interested about what Grizzly's getting hit with.
Power gloves,
Yeah,
dude.
those are
Clearly.
power gloves.
See, that's the cool thing about these aliens is they are like primitive, like should have rock dong rock men, and yet they've got space shuttles, they've got guns, and this one appears to have power gloves.
And they don't all have power gloves. A lot of them are barehanded. This one specifically seems to have, and they are power gloves because you can tell because they have the purple glow with the Kirby dots.
Yeah,
Well,
they just
they
don't
got
have the knuckles.
They got the New Gods type flyer, the little skis.
Do they? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, they do. Huh. Yeah. I mean, I didn't even think about that. Because the power gloves were just like something that was laying around that She-Dragon found, right? Like I think Johnny Redbeard had them.
Johnny Redbeard's little stash with all his gadgets, like
Did they come
X-Row 5
from?
and stuff.
Did they come from space?
They may have, dude.
They came from Johnny Redbeard, I'm pretty sure.
I don't know. Johnny Redbeard always seemed like somebody who just could create powers, not make like.
He had X-Row 5, the freaking security robot.
Did he build that, or did he turn somebody into it?
I'm pretty sure it was inferred that he built it, but I'd have to go back.
So power gloves aren't to you
20 years.
So to you, power gloves aren't unique. They are built. So anyone can build a power glove. With the know-how.
To me, they're unique because they were built by Johnny Redbeard.
But
I don't know.
I highly doubt these alien ones were built by Johnny Redbeard.
Nope,
I gotta say,
these are
I feel
these are alien power gloves, my friend.
I gotta say, I feel like these are alien power gloves. I feel like it's absolutely a way for there to be power gloves in the
I just
in
find
the book.
it interesting that they have the same auras.
Gotcha.
Question.
It could be, but personally, I don't think they're related. But what do I know? It's not my comic.
And it's just interesting that only like one of these guys might has a pair, or at least we only see one that has a pair. Which means they might be rare or unique, or like only like the greatest of the warriors are allowed to use them.
Well, it's funny that he doesn't seem stronger maybe than anyone else, or bigger, and yet
I mean, he pops Grizzly one. I mean, and I'm pretty sure that's Grizzly going through the buildings, going big thumb. So,
well, for
Yeah,
sure.
why do you say that, Raven? Because there's no other scene where we're seeing a guy punch somebody.
Well, what I'm saying is I think it's...
They're all using guns, pretty much.
I think this dude like came out. I'm just agreeing, really. I'm saying that like this dude is like, okay, well, here's the strong person of their team, so
Right.
I'm gonna don the power gloves to deal with this person. I think if you shoot Grizzly, it's not gonna do shit, really. And so probably like, okay, well, we need to like have a brawler. So here comes this dude who's like got the gloves to go toe to toe, and he fucking does. Like, goddamn, knocked through a building like crazy.
John Day's freaking out. Oh,
Well, I'm not in the background.
the rock-a-boom.
Do you guys think that Grizzly doesn't have a tail?
no. I mean, bears have tails, but
They have
Yeah,
a little.
they do.
They
They're
have
not
a little
very big.
stubby tail that would fit in their trunks.
yeah.
They got that nub. I'm saying I'm not seeing a nub here, dude.
Well,
I mean, maybe not. I mean, Mako doesn't have like certain
fin?
He doesn't have a fin, right?
All right.
exactly.
maybe he's
So,
got
okay.
Maybe he's got a microfin. Okay.
Follow-up question. Is it wrong or for to be turned on by Grizzly's ass now that you know that Grizzly is a hot woman?
I'm got no problem with that. I just don't. I mean, depends what you're looking for.
Yeah, I'm not looking for a big hairy
ass.
Bare
yeah.
ass.
So, no matter how round and bulbous it may be.
It's pretty round. It's pretty out there. You know what I'm saying? That's a Kardashian sized butt.
No, I'd say it's.
But it's also hairy
cut.
and it's got a bunch of poop caked onto the fur.
Poop?
She transforms. I bet she doesn't poop in this form very often.
Oh my God! Follow-up questions.
Sweaty bare ass.
What is the follow-up question? Does a grizzly shit in the woods?
No. I was gonna say if Grizzly has to poop in that form, like, is it like, is it like a different experience? I don't know. I'm just weirded out now by the suggestion. Because think of it, that's a whole different type of anatomy. Like, you're a giant fucking person. What if Grizzly ate a shit ton of food and then had to revert? Would she explode? How's it work?
It's magic.
No, because it just reverts when she reverts. And so it just forms around the new intestine.
It depends.
And it just comes out super long.
I'm not sure if it's a shapeshift or if it's a two forms thing like Mighty Man.
I think it's a werewolf situation.
You think it's a werewolf situation?
Yeah,
What
like
is
a werebear.
I don't know. These are the questions we ask here on the Savage FINcast. Tough ones, I'm sure, will be answered soon enough.
I love, is it Blue Jay?
The bird?
Yes.
Bluebird. All right, I love this panel.
Blue Jay, like the sports team.
All right, I love this panel of Blue Jay, like, flying and getting chased. Like, I just think, like, the way the wings were done is just so cool. Like, just kind of like the spread out, like, I don't know, like almost like squares but feathers.
Right.
I think it's so cool, dude. It's a good costume, man.
The Darkhawk of Savage Dragon.
It is a bit Darkhawk, isn't it?
That's what I thought.
Who is Darkhawk?
Who is Darkhawk?
Who is
says Raven.
Darkhawk? Find out next month. Only from Marvel Comics.
So I have to Google this? Is
Wait,
that what you're telling me?
so Raven doesn't actually know who Darkhawk is because he doesn't like corporate comics. Darkhawk.
You didn't like corporate comics when you were 13?
Yeah, in 1990.
I'm Googling it.
So Darkhawk was like
helpful.
Darkhawk was like a Marvel he was like one of those 90s characters. Like he has
Look up Darkhawk.
He's armored
Sorry.
and he's powered by like a jewel, but he's got like a bird motif with like these kind of like wings under your arm pits.
This is not the same. This is not the same.
Don't have to shit on my opinion here.
Too late. I already did. I took a bear transformation style poop on your opinion.
Tell you what, Darkhawk was kind of like my entry drug into collecting comics. That and New Warriors and Sleepwalker all kind of came out around the same time-ish.
Sure,
I wanted to jump in with a new #1.
Oh, son of a bitch.
Yes.
The Marvel Legends Darkhawk action figure is like out of stock and is like $60. Crazy.
You were going to buy a Darkhawk action figure?
Yeah, who wouldn't?
I mean,
hold on.
I don't know. People that like quality. I'm just kidding. Darkhawk's kind of I don't know. Did he turn into like a real cool character eventually?
I mean, he's awesome. He's Darkhawk.
It doesn't sound very convincing, dude.
He's like 90s extreme ROM in my eyes.
Yeah, it's not a bad description.
You know what, Jim? Stealth. This just tells me that Erik would do a good job drawing stealth.
Stealth, yes. Stealth is an Image comic.
Which is the Robert Kirkman Darkhawk.
Yep. You call him Robert Kirkman Darkhawk. I hate the name Darkhawk. It's like sounds like you're saying Darkhawk.
Good point.
Darkhawk.
Good point.
Not Dark Cock. Dark Hawk.
When I rub this jewel, I become Dark Cock.
Dark Hawk. Yep.
I'm pretty sure Darkhawk predates Shadowhawk.
Oh, yeah, definitely does. Darkhawk came out in like 91, I want to say. It was before the Image guys split off. I mean, this is one of the first comics I collected, and it was I was collecting before Image.
It was always a mystery of what was under that mask, because it's an alien.
Oh,
crystal.
like gotcha. Like it wasn't the kid's face.
Right. It was like he took on a different form, like an alien thing. Anyway, Darkhawk.
Yes, Darkhawk.
Tangentially, you get a really lovely sequence of fucking North Force just getting clowned.
Well, this is where everyone dies.
Yeah, getting hosed.
This is the big punch out. Everyone dies ending that I was expecting. That everyone was going to die.
Here we go.
Jim, were you really feeling the I was right feelings well up?
They're losing steam. He was rubbing his palms together.
Oh, yeah. But then we get the better choice.
This is, dude, the twist that hootin' zoots, baby.
Hootin' zoots.
Love it. I didn't see this coming.
Do you think he's got a really high voice and he comes on the scene? He's just like, hootin' zoots.
No, I'm pretty sure it's more like hootin' zoots.
Yeah, I think he's heroic.
Hootin' zoots.
Why do you think it's high pitched?
I don't know, because it would sound fucking. It just sounds funny in my head, just real silly.
I don't like the way you're saying it. Zoots. I don't like that at all.
I don't either. That's why I think it's so ridiculous.
Say it like you would say. Say it like you would say, "Son of a bitch."
I just picture him saying it like the guy from Family Guy.
I don't. I knew that.
Weird take on it.
Do you mean that old man? Like,
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it.
Ooh.
I hate it.
I'm not being serious at all here, guys.
Okay.
I'm just making myself laugh.
But I am letting you know I seriously hate that voice.
I do too, but that's why it's so funny.
Actually, here where he's murdering everybody, he's probably saying it more like "hootin' zoots."
Christian Bale Batman.
Yeah.
You can't say hootin' zoots all angry. There's no way.
Hootin' zoots.
Hootin' zoots.
Hootin' zoots. I'm Captain Tootsie.
So Captain Tootsie is here, and he saved the day with his sonic cannon.
He rocks
his
their
Fargo
ship.
ray. Let's get it right. It's a Fargo ray. Shoots
So-
Fargo beams.
Was I missing something there? What is that?
What, Fargo?
Yeah, I know what Fargo is, the place. I'm talking about what is a Fargo ray?
I'm pretty sure it's just a reference to the movie Fargo, and that is it.
No, in no world does that make sense. How?
It's just a Canadian, it's
Just
a
like,
Canadian-
no.
Fargo's just a name. I don't think it's a reference to anything.
Okay, just checking.
I think it's.
I just want to make sure I wasn't.
I think it's just a Canadian reference.
Well, I was just making sure I wasn't missing something. That's
Of course,
all.
Fargo's not in Canada. Fargo's in like Wisconsin, right? I'm sure there's a Fargo. in
Yeah,
Canada
Fargo's
somewhere.
in America. Yeah, it's one of the Dakotas. Don't you know?
I've never seen that movie.
Fargo's great. I'm sorry. Sidebar, Jim. Just write it down somewhere that you should watch Fargo. It is.
I think I own it.
Oh, it's fucking good. You should watch it, dude. It's good. All right, that's it. Sidebar over.
It's a TV show, too.
Yeah.
Heard that was
Years
good.
after.
Heard that was good. Never saw it, but please watch the movie first. It's got this legendary quote.
So obviously, Captain Tootsie is a much better addition to North Force because he's a total like wet blanket douchebag. The rest of these people.
Didn't you kind of get that was the like punchline of the story?
Yeah.
Is that he was just a bigger lame-o than Malcolm, so he fit better?
Yes, that was my takeaway. He's a much more traditional superhero who can totally hang with these guys.
Bro,
Yeah,
the Tom,
he's
the
not
Tom
a breeder
Strong.
either with a family. They don't
You
got
call him
time
a
for that.
breeder? A breeder.
They don't got time for that shit.
No time for love.
Oh, you
Tootsie's-
can't go into space because you got to hang out with your family. We'll go
Bro.
with the Zoot and Hoots guy.
Tootsie looked at Malcolm and said, "Go home and be a family man." Yeah, go burp your babies.
Let the adults take care of this.
I'm gonna go to a fucking planet of Stone Man and rock their shit back to the Stone Age. Tootsie out.
Me and Captain Zoots over here.
Captain Suits. Shout out to the Canadian for saying you saved our Canadian bacon. Fuck yes.
That was a shitty panel by the Canadian. It's like, man, you're a dick. If we can't count on you, then maybe you're not North Force material.
Yeah, kind of a cock.
Yeah. I just saved your ass from Thor.
Right.
A day before.
Also, I'm the only one who wasn't about to get fucking iced.
Yeah, exactly. Remember when the Stone Aliens were just shitting all over you guys' breakfast, and I was still standing and fighting?
And Hootie Zoot came and saved your ass, but if he wasn't there... Anyway.
I gotta say, also, North Force is kind of looking like bitches in this panel, too. Because Tootsie's super casual. He's like, yeah, bros, let's just go to their planet and keep kicking their ass. I'm not done kicking their ass enough. And they're all like, cool, space, wow. Space is awesome. They just sound like little wimps. And Tootsie is fucking just yeah, no problem. I kicked their ass back in 51.
Oh, space, that's my old stomping ground. I've been to Planet Cygnus 5 times. And
Didn't you get, lost in space and stuck there for, decades?
So did his sidekicks.
So did my 7 5-year-old friends. Weird.
Hoot and Zoots, I'd never do that. You're sick.
So there is that another kind of change with the dialogue boxes on this last panel, which we don't get in the regular issue of Savage Dragon. Just like that, the job interview was over, and Malcolm Dragon didn't make the team. So yeah. I guess you're right. This isn't Malcolm's kind of inner thoughts because, again, third person. So either that's someone from North Force, or it's like Jim saying Eric's just kind of narrator dialogue.
I mean, Eric's never really done internal dialogue as captions. It's always been an omnipresent narrator.
That's why it feels like it's the Canadian.
What's didn't Alex do it with that one that Jim you always get pissed off about? And that was the last time I ever saw him.
Yeah. Till the next time.
Oh yeah, and then I saw him again, but I didn't say that. I didn't know at the time that I would see him again.
So who else thinks that this entire exercise was to get North Force and Tootsie off planet?
Not me, dude. I know that you think that, but I think it was just to show that A, Tootsie's still out there and a badass, and B, that Malcolm just can't cut the mustard as a team guy, not a team player.
Because the feeling I get is that, historically speaking, dragons have a tendency to have to face their problems alone. Either their friends aren't available, or they're off doing something else, or he's by himself. And this basically clears the board of everybody who might be able to help out Malcolm, except for maybe Freak Force, who are still stuck in America most of the time. So it's like Malcolm alone defending Canada.
Well, he even told him, he's like, bro, there's an impending gang war coming. And they're like, man, we'll get it. There was a whole sequence of them being like, man, no biggie. When they come out of hiding, then we'll deal with it. I don't know. Maybe you're right. Now that you say it, I think about it. I'm like, I think that's exactly what's going to happen, is that they're going to be in space and there's going to be a goddamn vicious circle fucking war. And it's just going to be, oh, bro, that's the covers. That's why Paul and Malcolm are just beating the shit out of VC goons.
Yeah,
they're all that's left.
Oh,
ding,
my
ding,
God.
Ding, ding, ding.
You used closure to properly figure things out.
And the next time we see North Force, I'm sure it'll just be like Captain Tootsie and frickin' Grizzly with one arm limping back to Earth.
No way.
They'll land conveniently right after the Malcolm gets the shit beat out of him by the vicious circle. We're back. Did we miss anything? Fuck you.
Wow, dude. I mean, good call, Jim. Fuck. As we reflect on this, just sort of overall, I think. Well, no, never mind what I think. What do you guys like? How are you feeling about this? As try to put yourself in the shoes of like. Well, I want to hear both your thoughts. I want to hear your thoughts on this as a Savage Dragon issue, but I also am interested in your thoughts of this as a North Force Zero. Like, how'd you feel like it in measure, like sort of rated on both scales?
I think as a North Force Zero, it does a pretty good job. It introduces the entire team, showcases each one a couple times, tells you everything you need to know, makes for a decent, like, if it's like the only book you read, it tells you everything you need to know. Which, to be fair, isn't a lot. I mean, I don't even think that the issue mentions that, like, Malcolm is like the son of the original Savage Dragon. I'm pretty sure it just assumes that you don't need to know that.
Yeah, which is nice, actually. I think you really don't need to know that. I think if you told a new reader that, they'd probably be like, huh?
What is all the background, they say? A couple of years back, Malcolm Dragon had his own reality TV show. Before that, he was all but chased out of the States by an angry anti-alien mob. He's a celebrity and an attention getter and everything that North Force isn't. That's basically all the background you get on Malcolm. And the chat he has with Maxine. And you get to see his kids.
Yeah, he's a family man.
Yeah,
time.
That's basically what is emphasized about Malcolm, is that he is dedicated to his family. He isn't going to run off with flights of fancy of fighting aliens in space.
So, Craig, as a
Yes.
Dragon issue and as a North Force Zero issue, how you feeling?
If we're going scale of 1 to 10, I'm feeling 5 on both. If I have to be honest,
Okay, lay it out there.
I feel like with if I'm looking at it from somebody that's not a Dragon fan and buying a North Force Zero, it doesn't do enough for me to be like, I need more of this book.
Okay.
I feel like the fight was just a little too by the books. There wasn't any kind of hook. Like if you're trying to sell this as just a North Force comic, there needs to be something to hook you in. And I don't necessarily think that's what he's going for here, because obviously he's not trying to come up with an issue 1 or 2 of North Force. But I'm just saying, if I'm in this just for North Force, I might be like, yeah, it's good. I don't know if I would buy another.
Mm-hmm.
For an issue of Dragon, again, I feel like with all the great issues that have come out lately, we've seen a lot of North Force action lately, and I feel like there's been some better action with North Force and other issues. And so I'm grateful for some of the more talking heads with like the kind of characters when they're not in costume and getting to learn a little bit more from them. But it was okay. It just wasn't one of my favorite issues this year. It was good enough. I think it was middle of the road. It wasn't poor. It wasn't excellent. I'm looking forward to like moving on and seeing Paul and Malcolm battling Vicious Circle.
Sure. It's fair. That's fine.
Let's get your thoughts.
I mean, I'm kind of close to the same boat. As a Savage Dragon issue, it doesn't quite land at the same high bar some of the previous issues have been at. I think that Savage Dragon, when it's at its best, has just a bunch of irons in the fire, and it's got like gore and sexy stuff and things like that. So you didn't get much from Malcolm. Like you said, you didn't get a ton. Like, these dudes show up, and there's not too much to them. They're all like kind of rock aliens. They all look the same.
It's another case of a large group without a leader or motivation or anything.
Sure. Although they do have some motivation, Tootsie gives that. They're coming back for revenge after a long time too, like 70 years. But I would have liked a Demon King. I would have liked a leader. You're 100% right. I think whenever, like, I think we've seen a lot in the Malcolm era of just huge groups of the same guy.
Right.
You know, demonoids, lava lords, like just fucking, you know. It would be cool if these aliens had, like, you know, different types of aliens. Like, they're all species, but, like, you got, like, you know, different, like, breeds. Or, like, there was just a leader, or like a king and a queen of them or something like that, right? Something to juice them up. They were pretty generic. I think that the layouts and stuff, you saw all kinds of masterful cartooning shit with, like, the talking heads and all that. Tons of great action. But that being said, like, it was largely toothless action. Like, these aliens didn't bleed. They were just, like, stone chunks, you know? So for me, just not that visceral, seeing them getting beat up into chunks or whatever. Right. I think the highlight of this for me as a Savage Dragon issue was the twist to Rooney of learning that North Force had that old school alter ego vibe. I love Tootsie coming in and just stealing the fucking show like crazy. Wasn't expecting it. And I like the twist that Malcolm didn't just fucking get on the team. Like, I kind of thought Malcolm was going to just be in the team, like, no problem. Like, he was built up, like, well, dude, I mean, this guy kicked Thor's ass and saved the day. Like, yeah, they're even at the pool game saying, oh, it's just a formality. And it's like, it felt like it was Malcolm was going to be just in the team, and him flunking out at the end was awesome. So I think there was stuff to love. I still got to agree with Craig. I think as a Dragon issue, there just were higher issues like previously that you can point to as like more Savage Dragon-y. As a North Force issue, I think it's good. I really do think it's solid. Like, I compared this, me and Jim, we talked about, like, we were reading a lot of number ones lately. Mm-hmm. If this was a number one of something, I would read the number 1 and 2. I would be like into it, right?
Right.
Because I think these characters are interesting. I think North Force is interesting. I think they were made more interesting by their reveal of their alter egos, and I think this is a good setup, a good premise. I would read a North Force 1 and 2. I would read a North Force ongoing.
Well, remember, this is a 0, which means it's basically like a prologue to the actual team book that would exist in the future. When the and you imagine the actual team book is going to be Tootsie and these guys doing their own thing, and that's where you're going to get the more interpersonal stuff, right? That you didn't get in this issue, which is more of a what's basically happened here, when you think about it, is there are cases in the past of stuff that comes out in one series, leads to a spin-off in another, and then they repackage that original first appearance as like a 0 issue. Perfect example of this is Spider-Girl, who originally appeared in an issue of What If, and then Spider-Girl got her own series, and they re-released the issue as the 0 issue.
Sure. Okay.
It's just weird, though, to start off with a 0 issue, and that's your first exposure.
But I think
the first exposure is always what's going to sell you to want to buy more. So you're not going to buy that issue 1. But even if 0 is not supposed to be in issue 1, it's supposed to be just a background.
Right.
If it doesn't catch you, you might not pick it up.
But like, I think the joke here, or at least the concept here, is Erik has released a 0 issue to a series that doesn't exist.
Yeah. No, I totally get it. But I just think the hypothetical is the question being posed is, as a North Force comic, what are your thoughts on it?
I think, well, this is what I was going to end with, is just because I'm done, is just say that I think it was a stronger North Force 0 than it was a Savage Dragon 256, I think, or whatever we're on.
I can agree with that.
Yeah, but I think it was a really good North Force, actually. Like I said, if this was a number 0 that I was buying, I would definitely, because I've read some weak-ass number 1s lately, and this is stronger than many of the number 1s that I've read. I just don't think as a Dragon issue it was as strong. So if I'm slapping numbers on it, I'm going to give it a 8 as a North Force 0. I'm going to give it like a 7 as a Dragon, like 6. You know, I like Dragons are usually 10, so that's pretty low for me.
I'm going to reject both of you. I think it's a perfectly
for a change.
I think it's a for a change. I think it's a perfectly good Savage Dragon issue, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, I don't need
elaborate.
I don't need the blood and guts and sex and what have you. That's all great, But I don't think a great Savage Dragon issue needs that. And while
Okay.
this is not a great Savage Dragon issue, I think it introduces a lot of interesting new characters. And I personally don't think I personally think we got enough about them to at least, make them interesting. Even if we don't get, like, super, like, esoteric details about what their actual abilities are. I think as a Savage Dragon issue, serviceable is probably kind of an insult. I say it's at least an 8. I mean,
can I jump in there and agree with you on just the? I forgot to say that, and I'm glad you mentioned it. I think that actually a huge strong suit, is that the Malcolm era has definitely needed more unique characters.
Right.
And I think that this is some of the strongest characterization you've seen for supporting cast members in a long time. That's a good point.
This is like meeting the Underground Freaks. This is like meeting Freak Force, or pieces of Freak Force for the first time. Barbaric and Ricochet, for example.
Right. Agreed.
And of course, immediately they get sent into space. Which I think is... honestly, I think that's the big mistake, but I'm not Erik, and my opinions are shit.
Well, this is just your opinion. It's fine. Everyone's got their opinion.
But
so
as a zero issue, here's the thing. Here's my take. Here's the thing I think is hard to understand because it doesn't make any sense. I don't think of the zero issue as a first issue, even though it is, technically the first issue, because it's not the first issue. It's a zero issue. The first issue number 1, would have to do all the wows and get me in there and really wow me, Erik. An issue 0 doesn't really have to do that. Not in the same way an issue number 1 has to. I know this doesn't make any sense.
I get what you're saying. I'm just not hung up on the semantics that hard. If it's my first exposure, I need to be wowed. But I thought it did a good job, a better job as a 0.
Here's the mental gymnastics I'm doing. And this is part of like how I consume media, so this is a highly gym situation.
We're here for your opinion, baby. That's it.
I project, I create, I imagine there is already a North Force series. The details are unknown, but it exists, and so this is the pilot. This is the Savage Dragon issue that led into the ongoing series. That's how I have to think about this, not as like the first North Force issue,
Got it.
And as in that context, I think it works pretty well. And I know that's insane, and I know it is a bunch of word gibberish to force a contextualization that may or may not actually exist. I mean, as far as I know, Erik sees this as issue 1. But I think personally that you can't, not that you can't. Of course you can do whatever you want. I can't think of it in those terms. Because it's an issue 0, not an issue number 1. And so the rules are different.
I think that these backups, these profiles, these bios, I enjoyed them a lot more than I thought I was gonna.
Yeah.
Because these are essentially origin stories.
Right. And that's kind of why they're fun, is that in a lot of ways you're getting bios for characters that we've not met yet. So it's like this is like a possible how do I phrase this? This is like a possible future. This is like a hypothetical series that you're getting details about.
Sure,
like a fictional comic.
Yeah, I'm kind of getting in your mindset of what you're saying, because for instance,
it's like in Invincible when Mark talks about Science Dog.
Right.
It's like a fictional comic, but then eventually you get real Science Dog stories.
Right. I just feel like it's kind of cool, to get these origins, because your mind, if you're like me, you read about these characters and you want to know more.
Right.
It's this stuff didn't, I was kind of like, well, okay, it's cool that, Raptor's an old woman, but, it never really goes into, why she becomes, a red monster. But then you get the backup, and it totally does. It tells you exactly why she becomes, a red claw monster. And so I was like, oh, yeah. So, again, when I say North Force 0 lands better for me than Savage Dragon 256, it's kind of I think these profiles really, I know he had to keep them separate in order to have North Force 0 have something.
Yeah.
But I feel like if these were in the back of that Savage Dragon, I would have felt stronger about that Savage Dragon issue.
Right. That makes sense.
In a weird way, I guess. What about you, Craig? How are you feeling about the origin approach here in these bios?
I like the bios. I mean, I think everyone loves those kind of like comic book bios, whether it's the Marvel Comics Handbook or going on the wiki. It's a fun little thing, just a lot of information that is just compact and right there. It's cool. What do you guys think of the bios versus the backup? So you got the backup in the regular Savage Dragon format and the bios in the North Force.
I always prefer backups to...
Oh, me too. Yeah, I prefer
text.
The backups to the bio.
Yeah.
I guess one thing we should talk about for the listeners is that we're planning on interviewing the creators of that backup, which is Dave Kelly and Dean Haspiel. And I think we're talking about doing, because this is a multi-part story. So we weren't going to do it this time just because there's a lot to unpack with North Force, but we will get to that. So I don't think we really want to talk about this backup at this point, do we?
Do we want to hold off on it? Because I did have one thing I wanted to say about it.
Well, I guess we can say it. We can still interview them separately.
Yeah, we'll do it separately. But here's the thing. I didn't know... At first, I didn't realize this was a Red Hook story. I have not read the Red Hook, but I am aware of him.
He had a dragon backup previously, too.
Right, but I was aware of him slightly before that, too.
Oh, okay.
But yes, he had appeared in several backups previously. I expected this to kind of be its own thing. Just another Red Hook story. But then there's that stinger.
Yeah, dude.
That this is, in fact, a Savage Dragon crossover. Tie-in. So that's something.
That's good. I actually, my eyes did the little ooga at that point because I, too, was thinking that it was going to just be a self-contained backup. And then to find that it's going to be, dragon-centric, I was like, oh, dude, fuck yeah.
Malcolm related.
Yeah.
So, did you guys remember the Aquaria backups?
Yes.
The Mermaid Girl. Do you know that that's in the same universe as Red Hook? They're both in
I didn't know that, but that makes sense.
Yeah, they're both in that post Brooklyn. It's a Dean Haspiel Brooklyn superhero universe, and so they're in the same kind of city, which is kind of neat to think about. But I didn't realize that until I started digging into Red Hook more to prepare.
No, that's very cool. I had no idea. I'm a sucker for that, dude. I love those, creator... we were just, talking about, Donny Cates and his, crossover universe where he's just got all his, properties just... Hell yeah, dude. Have that world building, Pull it all in.
But I do think, yes, it makes it more enjoyable when that last panel saying that, oh, it's a Savage Dragon tie-in. This is kind of cool.
Yeah, very cool. I enjoyed it. I like the setup. I like the premise. I like the stinger. I think Red Hook's a cool visual. I'm into it. I'm ready for more of this. I think it was sometimes, I forget which was, we had the whole, the Blimp City backup where you just weren't getting enough.
Right.
And I think this is given enough pages to breathe. And so I like it. I like this a lot. I'm into this. You know what I mean?
Right. Do we know how many parts it's going to be at all?
No idea.
Not at this point, but I bet we get that in the interview. We gonna find out.
And, yeah. I think that about wraps things up.
I think it's time for you to do your job, Raven.
I will.
Do the job.
Savage Dragon 260. Torment triumphant. The Mad Menace Torment has come to Toronto seeking revenge against Malcolm Dragon.
And that cover, if you haven't looked it up, look it up, has a fantastic cover. Eric's been on a fucking hot streak of fantastic covers. But that's the one of Torment pulling Maxine out the window by her hair as like Malcolm's coming up from her behind her. Fantastic cover. Love Torment. He's definitely one of the Malcolm era guys. Love to see the Malcolm era, like just his rogues gallery get screen time. Love it. So, fuck yeah. Very hyped for 260. Cannot wait.
Sweet.
Well, thank
we
you
said
very
it all.
much. Yeah. Thank you, Craig. Thank you, Jim. Thank you, all our listener friends.
And, of course, you can always find us on our website, savagefincast.com. You can find us on YouTube. Our YouTube channel is youtube.com/savagefincast. Send us an email to savagefincast@gmail.com with any questions, comments, answers to our FINteresting Conversations, suggestions, hate mail, what have you. Find us, of course, online on Facebook. We're always hanging out on the Erik Larson Savage Dragon Facebook group. And I think that's everywhere. Find us on Spotify. Listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, and, of course, Anchor FM.
Cool. Thank you very much, fellas.
Peace.